Welcome to episode 49 of TerrorVision Horror Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Dan McGuinness, and joining me on the Midnight Meat Train is my co-host, Jennifer the Dream Warrior Strand. Every week we take one horror movie and cut it to pieces with our internet words of dexterity.
Dexterity.
Together, we are two people with a love of horror and feel the burn of our obsolete Blockbuster memberships. And I would just like to thank everyone, all of our listeners who support us over on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Castbox, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, and the YouTube. We love you, and we show that appreciation by shouting out to people who interact with us online and help us out to grow. People like, I love this name, Dave's Video Graveyard on Wow FM.
Yes.
I know, which coincidentally
I was on.
you were on.
Yes.
Are you going to tell me about that a little bit?
So
the viewers, or the listeners.
It was listeners. So yeah, I got to go on and I talked about my top 10 favourite films, which was the hardest. It's like the Sophie's Choice of films because I didn't want to just do all these horror films.
Yeah.
But then I was trying to like handpick certain films from my childhood that were kind of really important.
It's always hard, like that whole top list. Do
Yeah.
you do it on like what is important to you or what you feel is important to the world? That's your breakdown.
Because you could just be like, these are my guilty pleasure films. These are the films that, shaped my life. These are the films that I absolutely love. It's like so many different.
And you get 5.
Oh my God, it took me forever. And I had to sort of handpick because that's all I did as a kid. I'd go down to my my dad's house for the weekend and he'd take us to the video shop. We'd grab like 7 movies.
The weekly, blocks.
And that's what we would do, but we'd always watch the same films. So a lot of those films were on the list because they were the films that I watched the most and sort of helped me love film.
If mine was like my most watched film as a kid, it'd be 2. It'd be Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Oh, nice.
And Sinbad in the Eye of the Tiger.
Sinbad.
I loved that. It was one of those, those like Clash of the Titan films and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're great.
We also, check out Dave's Video Graveyard, which I assume is also a podcast or a YouTube channel. Sorry.
YouTube? Does he have YouTube? Well, he has a podcast, I know.
He's definitely got YouTube as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, check it out, people. Also like to thank Dion Cracknell, Rob Hardy, Linda Flavel, and Adam Gillespie. Thank you very much. Those are some of the people that interacted with us over the week.
Yeah, I'd like to point out that Linda Fable is my mum and she does not listen.
Is that your mum?
That's my mum. She likes everything.
I didn't know that.
She's very supportive.
Straight on to our fun fact. So my fun fact for the week is I have worked in 2 sex shops in my life. That's the fact. I first got the first one was on Hiney Street in a beautiful shop which is no longer there called The Box. It was right next to the Crazy Horse. So the girls at the Crazy Horse got their industry discount. I do that in inverted air commas.
Sure.
And I got that job there because my mate worked there who he also worked there because his mate got him the job. And coincidentally, those 2 dudes ended up being the people who started Pulp Fiction Comics.
Sure.
So, all 3 of us that worked at Pulp Fiction Comics started in this sex shop. That's how we met each other.
Interesting.
I know. And then the second one was, and this is so I'm going to go into a diatribe over the next couple of months of sex shop stories. So there are many.
I can imagine that working in a sex shop would have its own deal. Yeah. Plethora of interesting stories.
But it's retail with the most unique customers ever. And you get some lady, oh man, I will go into some
I would like to hear more.
They're not going to be fun facts. They're just going to be Dan's exploration down the sex shop rabbit hole.
That sounds great.
And the second one was, it was just another one. I needed work. I went there. I had another sex shop on my resume, and then it's like, cool, you hired straight away. Oh. But we will get into the nitty gritties of them.
Oh, I cannot wait.
In later episodes.
Sex sells.
Oh man, I wrote down I started writing a book about it.
I would imagine that would make for a good book.
Yeah, but then I actually got robbed. No, I sold my computer at that time and forgot to get the book off of it.
No, so someone else has published your book.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
What's your fun fact?
Well, I didn't have a fun fact about myself this week, so I'm going to give you a fun fact about my cat.
Well, you own the cat, so this is your fact.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm like the stepmother of the cat. So I have a cat called Catface, and she won't shit in a litter box at all. She will poop on the floor right next to the litter box on the tiles, or she'll poop in the shower, but never in the litter box.
Why?
I don't know.
You must have conditioned her somewhere how to do that.
Well,
Did you buy the wrong rocks?
No, she likes the litter box. It's fine. This is Liz's cat, so she's conditioned this cat to do so many things. I don't know. She's always been like that, apparently. Just never. It's literally just next to it, very, very neatly next to it on the tiles. So at least it's not on carpet or just in random spots around the house. So it's easy to clean up. But she also calls. If you whistle to her, she'll come running.
Weird.
Yeah.
At least it's cat poos, and we all know that they just kind of like little droplets. You know, they're little.
They're not bad.
Yeah, you can pick them up and just do a wipe down with a,
and usually just I spray it with bleach, give it it's fine. But when you're really tired and all you want to do is just have a really quick shower and get into bed, and you walk in, you're just like, God damn, I've got to clean up cat shit now, and then all of a sudden you're cranky.
So your fact is that your cat is a rogue shitter.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, let's move into our spoiler course. Yes, every week Jennifer and I set ourselves a horror movie to watch, and then we go through it scene by scene and spoil the fuck out of it for you. It's a deep dive into glorious gore, hard edits, cheesy acting, directing madness, severed wangs, and compound fractures. We have a scoring system.
Yes.
Which Jen will now go over.
I will. Yes. So for those of you playing at home, we've got the A, awesome, everybody should watch. B is our beer and chicken wing group movie. F is for fun and dumb. C is a classic that's worth a watch. We've got the U, underrated. G, good for its time but is not held up. We've got the J, Jen special. The D, Dan special. We've got the W, whatever. Just making that sounds great. We've got the Kesha, the low budget hot mess, and the newly appointed C-. Thanks, Dan. The craft is stellar, but I hate the content.
Wonder why I put a new...
Yeah, I wonder why you added a new one. And then, of course, we have the cream of the crap, the McConaughey, the fucking fucked. We watched it, so you don't have to.
So this week, we watched So You Don't Have To, is the... The Loved Ones from 2009. This is Jen. This is your pick from last week. Give us its vital statistics.
All right. So this is an Australian horror film.
Which I didn't know, and I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. I like a good Aussie horror. It's written and directed by Sean, whatever.
It's Sean.
Sean Byrne. He also directed another film called The Devil's Candy, which is quite a good film starring Ethan Embry from Empire Records. The film stars Xavier Samuels, who was in Twilight. That's the best I could find.
Apparently he's been in a couple of things. Like, Braden knew who he was.
Oh, okay.
Who I worked with, Braden.
Same age.
Yeah.
Robin McLeavy, John Brumpton, Jessica McNamee, who is Sonya Blade in the upcoming Mortal Kombat movie.
Excellent.
Yep. It had a budget of $4 million, but unfortunately the box office was only about $358,000. Oh, that's a hard fail. But this film has received critical acclaim in the Americas and is now considered to be a cult classic.
Yeah, maintain cult classic status.
Yes.
Right.
So some fun facts for you. This was filmed in only 4 weeks. It's a pretty good turnover.
Pretty, I mean, that's not... So what's a normal, like, shooting? Like 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks?
Shooting's very quick, apparently, but it's all the editing and the post-production that takes forever. John Jarratt actually turned down the role of who is known as Daddy.
I just called him Dad.
To avoid being typecast. And as we all know, John Jarratt only goes to things dressed as Mick Taylor now, so he is just Mick Taylor.
Yeah, he really... he didn't want to get typecast yet. He just grabbed onto one character and became him.
Yeah, that's fine.
So the epitome of typecasting.
So Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Carrie are two films that have been referenced as heavy, what's the word?
Inspirations.
Influence.
Yeah,
for this film as well. And young Xavier Samuels, he has no more dialogue after the 27-minute mark.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Oh, he does, if you count, like, pig squealing.
Well, they're not really words.
Wow, there were some squeals as well.
They were. They're amazing. We'll get into it.
What's its synopsis? What's its tagline, a synoppo?
Don't break her heart.
Oh, why not?
Well, you'll find out. So Lola Stone asked Brent Mitchell to the prom, but Brent said no, and now he's screwed. That's very Australian.
Yeah.
What happens when Lola doesn't get what she wants? She enlists Daddy's help to throw a prom of her own where she is queen and Brent is king, whether he likes it or not. The loved ones is what happens when puppy love goes horribly, violently wrong. Brent should have said yes.
No, you shouldn't have.
Well, he can do whatever he wants. He can say no if he wants.
All right. Start her up. Start her up, Jen.
All right. So getting into it, the film starts black screen. You get the radio station changing. So, you know, the switching between channels, which most people don't understand now as well, which is crazy.
Oh, yeah, because you don't really do that anymore, do you?
We don't really use that.
But this is rural Australia we're talking about here.
This is a small
They
town.
only have AM.
Yeah, nothing but AM.
No, AM all day.
It's very
Just ABC radio.
very sort of 80s Dio Dokken type, you know, power ballad music comes on. And we get this small town montage. So, you know, this crazy railway lines, small streets, and we get the title sequence pop up, The Loved Ones. We see a car driving down a country road and a dad and son, Brent. Dad's rocking the fuck out to this music. And,
Yeah,
Brent's just having a bit of a laugh.
He's like cool dad. You
Yeah.
know, that kind of dad.
He
The
is
dad
like-
is like, hasn't really grown up. Like,
No.
still holding on to his, like, rock out pub roots.
Yes, yeah, like, and he seems like a cool dad. They've got a great relationship. Brent's driving the car and Dad's just sort of sitting there. And, you know, they're having a chat and he's like, oh, your car's a piece of shit, Dad. You should get a better car. And he's like, you were conceived in the back of this car,
Yeah,
mate.
yeah.
You know, it's just that general...
Dad lights up a ciggy.
He does, and Brent's not okay with it. He
like-
looks at him judgmental. He's like, what? Your mother, you know, she smokes the occasional cig. You don't think I don't know about that? And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Brent has not paid attention. Look out!
Look out. There is a half-naked man standing in the road with a love heart carved into his chest.
Right. He's all bloodied up, and it's gross, and Brent swerves to miss him, and he wrecks into a tree.
Yep, they crash. Bang.
Black.
End of scene.
6 months later. School is out for summer, guys. Everyone at the school leaves because it's, you know, end of school term and everyone's happy heading out into the world. It's great.
Ooh,
What was that?
I don't know.
So Brent's there at his locker and he's dealing weed with his friend Jamie.
Is his name Jamie?
His name is Jamie.
Nah, not for me.
Not for you?
I called him Weeds because his character only smokes weed in this film.
Pretty much, yes. He is a little bit nerdy, but ultimately seems like a nice
At first, I was confused in the scene. I didn't know if it was just like, and this scene, obviously, you take from this scene that, you know, life didn't go well after the car crash. He started hitting the devil's lettuce.
He did. So Brent is looking very haggard. His hair is long and scraggly. He's got like bags under his eyes.
He's white.
He's
dry,
very pale.
Dry lips.
Yeah.
He
So
needs
he's not taking good care of himself.
doesn't have any blistex.
No. Get some mugu, I tell you what.
And then we cut to slow-mo punk babe straight out of the set of Heartbreak High.
It's true. So Jamie starts talking about the party. So there is a party tonight. There is a dance. So end of year dance. Brent isn't keen to party. He's just going to smoke at home and hang out. And then,
we cut to this, like,
we cut to
slow. So she's like all dressed in black. She has dyed black hair. She has like the black eye makeup.
Yeah.
She has a nose ring. If you can imagine, she looks exactly like Hex from when Good Game when she first got onto Good Game.
Very much
like,
so.
Very much. If you're a Good Game video game person.
Yeah.
You know, straight black hair. She's basically borderlining punk and goth.
Yeah, she's like I'd call her a semi-goth hottie. Like, she's pretty cute.
She's Abby Tucker from Heartbreak High.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, your girl crush.
Yep.
And Jamie, he sort of stands there. He's clearly got a hard crush on her.
Yeah, well, she's quite good looking.
And she's very good looking. And he looks like he's having a bit of a moment to himself.
And he kind of he runs off.
Yeah, so Brent sort of eggs him on to go talk to her.
Go talk to her, mate.
And he runs off, and we get this moment of, like, you know, Brent's back to doing his locker, and Jamie just jumps out from the hallway, and he's like, she said yes!
She's a nurse.
So he's excited. He is taking her to the dance.
Is it? Do they say dance or prom? I couldn't remember. I called it prom the whole time because I couldn't remember what they referred to it.
So it's the school dance. End of year 4 dance. It's the end of year formal, but to market it to America, I think throughout the marketing process, they've referred to it as prom because that's what America has.
Oh, so they did say prom. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So then we get Brent. He's still fucking around with his locker.
Yeah.
And we have this brown haired girl walk up to him.
Yeah,
long brown hair, just normal
very
looking girl.
sheepish kind of looking. She's very wallflower, very sort of plain Jane, no makeup like all the other girls that we've seen. She's in a pink t-shirt and
she
seems timid.
And at this point, I think maybe even Brent's talked about he's going to go with Holly.
Yeah.
To the prom.
Yeah.
So Holly's his girlfriend. We haven't met her yet.
No.
But now this girl comes up and she's like, "Will you go to the prom with me?" And he's like, sorry, I'm going with my girlfriend Holly. Which is basically the whole scene.
And she kind of just sort of stands there for a second. We get this shot of her just standing there, like looking like
he's like, "Sorry."
She doesn't even look heartbroken. She kind of looks mad.
Oh, he kind of goes, "Sorry about that," and he just grabs his backpack and walks off. And we get this shot of like a long shot of her just standing there, like she's just kind of like almost perplexed.
Yeah.
And like, what do you?
Why wouldn't you say yes to me?
She Tim Allen's at him.
So Brent walks out and he meets up with Holly. Holly is his lovely lady friend, and she's just recently got her P's.
Yay!
So she's going to drive him home, but first they start making out in the car because that's what you do. And she's asking him who has asked him to dance.
Because he's like, he's pretty good looking. So he's obvious. She's like the girlfriend. She's like, obviously knows that girls are going to ask him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he probably used to be really cute until he started to let himself
become
go
disheveled fuckwit.
Yeah. He's kind of extorting her a little bit for sexy times and titties because, he's not going to tell her. And she's like, "But tell me and I'll take my boobs out." And then
we get this real awkward, like,
we get teen sex scene
in a car, in a Volkswagen wagon.
Yeah. So she takes off Brent's shirt and we see some cuts on Brent's body. And he's wearing a razor blade necklace.
Yeah, he wears like which I'm pretty sure those razor blade necklaces aren't razor blades. They're just like for show razor blades.
Yeah, although I think Brent's probably made this one himself, so he's clearly experiencing some kind of mental health issues.
He's doing some self-harm.
He's having a really
he killed his dad.
Really rough time.
I felt like a real perv in this scene, being an old dude watching real young kids kiss heaps and get their gear out and touch each other up. I was like, oh.
It's hard. And this is the conversation that I was having recently with someone, because you imagine, so this film is immortalized in that year. So in 2009, these people are actually, they're meant to be teens, but they're actually they're probably about my age now. So like in their mid-30s. But it does feel a bit awkward watching people, even though we are technically the same age, watching people back then now that they're younger.
I just don't like, me, I don't
You
like
just don't like
and they're just seeing like real young kids do it. And anyhow, they're steaming up the windows
They
and
really
shit
are.
of their Volkswagen because it's, the sexiest thing to ever have sex in, like in Clerks, like the most... And have
like
sex with her in a very uncomfortable position, like the back of a Volkswagen.
Exactly.
And then we see, watching them... outside is brown-haired girl just staring, watching them bang.
Yeah, Lola's there. She's watching it happen, and she is not impressed.
Oh yeah, he mentions that to her that Lola.
He doesn't
Lola
mention
Stone.
that yet.
Doesn't he say it here?
Not yet.
Oh, well, it doesn't matter.
So they've had their
end of that scene.
7 seconds in heaven, and Holly drops Brent off, and they talk a little bit about Brent's mum not being cool with Holly having her license. Obviously, of course,
Brent's mum now has a phobia of Brent being in cars,
which is fair. So they make plans for the dance, and she drops the L-bomb. She says, "I love you." Lesbians, yes. Yep. He doesn't reciprocate those words, and instead he gets out of the car.
His lips were too chapped. He just couldn't say it.
Exactly. He gets out of the car and he's like, "Lola Stone asked me to the dance."
Oh, that's where he mentions it.
Yeah, that's where he mentions it. So then we cut to him.
And she doesn't care. It's just like, it's almost like a joke. Like, they're kind of like, Lola Stone asked me, and she's like, "Oh, why don't you go with her then?"
Yeah, so
in
Lola
our fucking
Stone's,
Aussie way.
Yeah, she's clearly the not cool girl at school. She's probably the weird horse girl.
Yeah, she would have been into horses, definitely.
I could see it, yeah.
Anyhow, we cut to Brent. He's in his room. He's listening to metal.
Yes.
He's a metal dude.
Of course he is.
Because he's got emotions. He's got dark, brooding emotions. If he didn't become a metal dude, he would have become Batman. So
Quite possibly, but he clearly doesn't have the money for that. His mum comes
or
in.
Fruit Batman because he's Australian.
Sure.
Doesn't have the impact, does it?
No, it doesn't.
I don't even think Batman has an impact. Just we've heard it so much now.
It's true. I'm Batman.
Fruit Batman.
Fruit Batman. She is also clearly not okay. She walks in. She's in a robe.
The mum.
She looks disheveled.
Yeah.
She's clearly not okay after the husband has died, and their relationship is strained.
Yeah, she's permanently in a robe. She doesn't get, she doesn't wear makeup. She doesn't get ready. She stays in a robe all day. She just pensively looks out the window and looks out. And she's just had a breakdown, basically. Yeah. And she's afraid of cars. Yes. Or she's afraid of her son going back into a car.
So they have a brief argument about Holly driving, and she offers them money for a cab. He's like, well, what's the point? Because
I'll still be in a car,
either way,
Mum.
I'm still going to be in a car.
Yeah.
And that's fair. And he gets up and he storms out. He's not happy. So him and his dog, his beautiful dog, head out for a metal-fueled walk.
Yeah, this is like metal music over.
Yeah, it's
is
like
this
a
where he gets
slow-mo walk. He's pulled off his necklace and he's like...
razor blade.
He's
holding
it
fist
tight and blood's dripping down his hand and he's fighting back some tears because he's not going to cry. We get this brief cut to Holly and she's standing in front of the mirror in her underwear. She's
in her house, in
her house. Yep.
You're not at school, still.
She's just kind of looking at herself in the mirror. Maybe contemplating why he didn't say I love you back, contemplating am I better than Lola Stone? Clearly I am. It's a weird scene, but sure.
Yeah, well, I just assume that this scene was put in there for that whole thing of the questioning of a teen girl, like questioning her own body.
Yeah.
Looking at it, trying to work out why just looking at it, basically. She's in a bra and knickers. Knickers? Panties? Underwear? What are they called?
Underwear.
What are knickers then?
No, knickers are your panty kind of underwear. I just
And
call them
panties are what
underwear
little
because I
kids wear.
do not like the word panties.
Well, isn't
and I don't like knickers.
Isn't it at some stage it becomes like little kids wear panties?
No.
Or knickers?
No,
knickers.
yeah, little kids wear knickers.
Knickers. Yeah, I was trying to work out which.
Porn stars wear panties.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Panties.
Yes.
Anyway, she's got her underduds on.
Underoos. So Brent, we cut back to Brent. He's now in a quarry and he starts climbing some rocks.
This is very Australian. People are just like, where is he?
Yeah.
Because this is a country town.
It's literally the next street over from his house.
And it's also, it's surrounded by scrub.
Yeah.
And quarry, or not even, I don't think it's even a quarry. I just think it's a scrub with because it's not flat Australia. It's like quite hilly. So.
My mum has one of these in her backyard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this could have been filmed in my mum's backyard.
And he starts doing some barehanded, non-roped rock climbing because he doesn't care because he kind of wants to fall.
He does.
And he's like, he's doing it. It's up a slate cliff as well. So it's like, it's sharp. It's still pretty good to climb though.
That's right. So he starts climbing up and he holds on tight and he kind of starts to lean back.
On purpose.
Kind of
like just almost like, contemplating suicide kind of thing. Like if I just let go, everything's going to be fine. You know what I mean? I can get away from all this crap.
Yep.
He zens out.
But he slips. And all of a sudden he's brought back to, oh, fuck, I don't want to actually fall. And he grabs on with dear life and he struggles to pull himself up to the top of the cliff.
Showing that he does have something to live for.
He still has some fight in him. That's great.
He climbs to the top and he smokes a cone.
He does. He lays down on the grass and his dog comes and lays with him.
He's got his dog,
really
what sort of dog was it? What sort of doggo? Is it stuff? Is this a dog? Is this an Aussie dog? It's like a red heeler or something. Yeah.
Yeah, like a red.
It's his mate.
Beautiful dog.
Yeah,
beautiful dog.
It's a typical Australian mate dog.
Yep.
Mate dog.
So he starts smoking some weed and listening to metal. Meanwhile, his mum she's sitting at home in front of the window, smoking some cigarettes. She's just I feel that she's just waiting for that cop car to rock up and say that, your son is dead.
Yeah. She's always waiting for that call again because she's already had that call once.
Yeah, and we cut back to Brent. He's still sitting there smoking weed. And then we cut back to Mum. She's now sitting by the phone. Waiting.
For him.
Yes.
So she doesn't do much with that.
As this is happening, the dog starts barking, but it's a very muffled bark to indicate to us that Brent can't actually hear.
Because he's got his earphones on.
He's listening to his Parkway Drives. He's angry.
Oh, is it Parkway Drive?
I don't know.
Yeah,
probably.
He's listening to his beats.
I was trying to think of some Australian metal.
I can't think of any Australian metal. Force Fed 9?
Sure. And then Brent's phone starts to ring. and I think he's sitting there contemplating picking it up. And we see someone walking up behind him.
Ooh, who is this ominous figure behind Brent?
We don't know. Some guy in a tradie outfit, and as he goes to answer the phone,
In yakkers?
he's in his hard yakkers.
Hard yakkers?
Hard yaks. Brent is taken from behind, and he is chloroformed. He is taken from behind.
He's chloroformed. They ragged him.
Yep. So his mum kind of hears this muffled call on the phone.
Yeah. This is all out of we don't know who's grabbing this guy.
No, we don't.
He's all blurred out. What's going on?
So as there's a very minimal struggle, his phone is unfortunately kicked over the side of the quarry, and he is dragged off. And we see a ute speeding off down the road.
Yeah. So Brent has been put in the ute.
Something's not looking good for Brent.
And we cut to Weeds. Weeds smoking in his car.
It's funny. He's smoking weed in his car.
He's smoking some weed in his car. He's getting all into it and stuff. There's some music playing. It's like a montage of weed smoking. He gets out the car.
He sprays himself off with some toilet spray. So he's trying to hide the fact that he's just been smoking.
Well, his name's Weeds. He gets out of the car. He's dressed for prom. Or he's kind of dressed for prom. He's got one of those prom, the tuxedo t-shirt.
Yeah, he's got a tan suit, pants and jacket.
And a tuxedo
t-shirt. So he's clearly put a lot of effort. He's also got that very 2009 sort of swept hair.
He's got a Bieber haircut.
The emo hair kind of deal. Yeah.
Bieber. He's a big old Bieber.
He's a belieber.
He's there to pick up Heartbreak High.
Yep.
Which is her name from now on.
And she just comes running out of the house to sort of meet him. She doesn't want...
She's wearing a black...
It's short.
She's wearing a short black outfit. So she's rebelling.
She looks like she's in a negligee. Basically, she looks
like she's...
she looks like she's wearing a nightie.
Yeah. Is that a petticoat?
No.
A black petticoat she's wearing. Anyhow, she comes out. She's all broody. And this character, she is quite broody. She doesn't talk. She doesn't look people in the eye.
Yeah.
She looks down a lot of the time. She doesn't answer stuff. She's she's the kind of person that you ask her a question and you're just did I just say something wrong? No matter what you say.
Yeah.
So she's always looking for, but she's the mum comes out and she's like, Dad wants a photo before you go.
Yeah, and the family dog comes running out and aggressively starts sniffing at Jamie's crotch.
At Weed's dick.
Yes.
And then his dad comes out and her dad is the cop.
He's a cop.
The town cop. And of course, it's a drug dog.
Yeah.
That's what I thought straight away.
Drug sniffing dog.
Yeah.
And then they get their pre-prom, pre-dance photo and they leave.
And she's a massive dick to her parents as well.
She doesn't smile. She's just a...
So you're getting the idea at this point. I got the idea that she's rebelling against her dad's authority, kind of thing. That's kind of what I got at first. I know later that's not what it was.
Yeah.
But that's what I got. I was like, okay, so she's, small town. Your dad's the cop, and she's just that's why she's gone all she's all broodmeister.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. We cut to, so they go off to the dance and we now cut to Brent's mum. She's out walking near where Brent was. So this is clearly somewhere she knows that he always goes. And it is literally probably on the other side of their house.
Yeah, it's probably just their backyard that goes down into some scrub and stuff like that. So she's looking around, Brent, where are you, mate? It's not her voice at all.
That is not her voice at all.
Then we cut to Holly.
Yep.
She's rocking up in a Volkswagen. To pick Brent up for the prom.
Yes. And no one's answering the door, but Brent's mum comes running from behind her. Have you seen Brent?
Yeah, so she's come back from looking for him. Have you seen him? And he's like, no. Then we cut to Heartbreak High and Weeds in the car for a while.
Yep. So she's looking absolutely miserable and she is pouty.
Why did she even go?
I don't know. You could trip over her bottom lip at this point. She is just so
no eye contact.
No. And he tries to make conversation, and she just turns to him. She asks for, can I have some of the weed that you've been smoking? And he's like, yeah, it's in my pocket. That's why your dog was sniffing my nuts.
Yeah,
and it just starts to get awkward.
Yeah, and then she says some horrible stuff. Well, you think I'm going to suck your dick or something? He fully didn't insinuate that at all, but she always goes to the worst possible.
Yeah, I think other stuff was said, and she just sort of attacks him, which it was awkward.
Yeah, it was awkward. And now we cut to the car that kidnapped Brent rocking up. at the hot wing shop for
Yes,
some chicken.
some chicken.
Oh man, I saw this and just went, I'm thinking it now.
Yeah.
Do you know how much I love fried chicken? Can we do a separate podcast about just me eating fried chicken? Because I love it.
Can you do a YouTube channel? And I'll actually, because I don't like having my face in things, it'll just be you and me sitting there eating fried chicken and then just laying on the floor wailing.
Your face would still be in it.
I know. I will allow it.
Oh.
Because it's fried chicken.
I'm not allowed to eat fried chicken. That's why I love
Me
it so
neither.
much. We're both just shit ourselves.
Yeah.
Maybe we could just eat fried chicken, and then the end of the video is just us shitting in themselves, and I'm sure it'll be a TikTok sensation. There'll be people chickening and shitting. Like,
I'll learn about TikTok
it'll
just
be cool.
for that.
It'll get abbreviated to TNS, and then we'll be like the TNS twins, and then
great.
we'll be famous, and then we'll be not famous because that's TikTok.
That's very true. But as long as we can make some money in the meantime.
I don't think people even make... I think TikTok is purely you make fame and then it goes, and that's the addiction of the fame.
I want to monetize.
I don't know
if
that. I
I'm going
haven't
to sit there and shit my pants eating a bunch of fried chicken, I want some money.
Yeah, well, no, I don't know.
Well, actually, I really like fried chicken, so I'll do it for free.
If someone pays for the fried chicken, so if anyone out there...
All right. So we're going to start a Patreon, and you can all pay for us to eat fried chicken.
And it has to be Korean fried chicken as well.
Oh, I do like Korean fried chicken. Even just chicken shop chicken. Get some peas
Nah,
and gravy.
yeah, I do like that, but if I have an option, I'm always going to go,
Well, of course you're going to go that.
Anyhow.
Anyway,
we cut to Holly and her mum. They're kind of trying to call Brent on his phone, and he's not picking up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just doing my whatever Australian accent.
No, I love it. It's great.
Even though I have an Australian accent.
Because you're Australian.
Yeah, but I just like to dig it up.
And this is the worst, because we hear some whimpering from outside, and they open the door, and it's the dog, and the dog's been hurt. And it's not
the dog
okay.
is like coming in, whimpering. It's all on the ground. At first I wrote in here, the dog's all beaten up. So obviously the kidnapper who got Brent fucked the dog up, which is instantly uncool. So straight away they have because they know Australians love their dogs.
Yes.
Their doggos.
Yeah.
So they're instilling straight away. I'm like, oh, this is who I'm hating in this film.
Yeah, I was basically like, fuck those shitholes.
Yeah. This could have ended with like Brent waking up now and then killing those people. And
now
I would have
he's John Wick.
Yeah. Like, basically, yeah. Yeah, that's all you need. You need the death. I am really susceptible to animal violence in stuff. So much that I actually started to tear up the moment I saw that dog there. And I'm like, please don't take it any further. And they didn't, which was nice. It was they never showed the dog again. They mentioned the dog.
No, they do.
Do they?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they do. It's fucked.
Yeah, because this is where, like, I cried because I don't like seeing animals getting hurt, and that dog was adorable, and I'm getting upset thinking about it. So
anyhow, we cut to Cop Dad. I called him Cop Dad because he's a cop of the town, and he's
I think that's what I called him
dad.
as well, yeah.
Cop Dad.
Cop Dad.
He's in bed with his Sheila.
Yep.
And the phone rings, and at the time when everyone has a phone next to their fucking bed.
Yep.
He wakes up. He's a guy, and you can tell he's talking to Brent's mum. And he's like, Brent's done this before. He's fucked off and that. And then he's like, he hears, she says something to him. And she goes, what do you mean they stabbed the dog? Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, and then he's like, what? They stabbed it? Like, it wasn't even just like kicked up. They stabbed it.
No. And then we get this.
Yeah, then we get to this scene.
Horrible scene of Holly, and she's driving the dog in the car
to the vet.
Without
the mum.
But the dog is just sort of, you can hear the breathing, and it's wheezing, and it gets lower and lower, and then it stops, and then she stops the car. And
she realizes the dog has died.
I cried.
And then she cries.
And then I had to leave the room for a minute. And
then I wrote a note in here saying, fuck this film. In my notes.
Anytime there's a dog in a film, a horror film, I'm just like, fuck.
So get comfortable in your chairs, because not much more happy comes in this film until about the last minute of this film.
There is no more happy in this film. If anything, shit's about to escalate. So Jamie and Mia rock up at the dance.
No, Weeds and Heartbreak.
Sorry, Weeds and Heartbreak rock up at the dance. And he kind of tries to be smooth, but, he gets out of the car. He goes to sort of, like, jump over the bonnet.
This was funny.
Yeah, and he kind of slips and falls off the car.
Yeah, he's trying to be
which is
cool.
hilarious. And he goes to open her door, but she refuses to get out.
Yeah, she's still being, like, Captain Cuntox to him. Anyhow, that's our quick scene. There's a lot of cutbacks to fucking Weeds and Heartbreak.
Yes, there is.
we cut back to the kidnapping ute, I called it.
So it's driving down the road, and this is a country road. So there is no houses. It's not suburbia. There's just nothingness.
And
we see it passes a dead possum. The car stops. It reverses. A door opens, and we see someone snatch up the possum.
Dead possum.
And then we cut to...
For those who don't know what possums are, like my Uber Eats driver the other day, there was a possum outside, attacking another possum. They're having a possum brawl.
Oh.
And he goes, "What is that?" And I'm like, "It's a possum.
Yeah.
It's some possum." He goes, "What is a possum?" And I went, "It's a tree cat." Because I couldn't think of anything.
No, that's fair. I'd like to point out that Australian possums are way cuter than American possums. The American possums are terrifying.
We got ringtails and we got brush tails. So this was a brush tail, so they're quite bigger than a ring. You know the ringies that they're in the parklands in the city? They're quite small. Where the other ones are quite big. Anyway, tree cat.
Yep. So we get this POV shot of just some headlights driving down a very long dirt driveway. So we are under the impression that wherever Brent is now, because he is in the ute, it's a fair distance away from anything.
I reckon it's about 20 minutes out of town.
Probably 20 minutes out of town and then another 10 minutes down the fucking dirt road.
No, I reckon 20. 20 minutes is fairly far on dirt roads, so you drive really quick.
Oh, I hate driving.
This is my spending a lot of time in Sejuna.
You know this shit. So the ute pulls up at a very secluded sort of farmhouse. It seems quite small, probably like one big room and a couple of bedrooms, and that's about it. And we get a shot from the back of the ute as a man. He's got a very, very nice comb over.
Yep.
He kind of looks very sort of...
We haven't seen this character yet.
No, he's new. His face is very surprised all the time. He's very wide-eyed.
Yeah. And
he uncovers Brent in the back of the ute.
He's all fucked up.
He is fucked up. And Lola stands next to the man.
So Lola, in case you don't know who Lola is, she's the girl that asked Brent to the prom at the start.
And she starts to stress out because he looks dead.
Yes, and she says something funny like, you ruined it.
You ruined it. She's such a whingy little bitch.
She's a princess.
She is a princess. And I'd like to point out that it's really uncomfortable. She looks a lot like one of my ex-girlfriends who was crazy.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, she's credited in the thing as Lola, inverted commas, Princess Stone.
Yeah.
Which I didn't think that needed to be in there. Yeah. Her name's Lola Stone. Anyhow, this is Dad. We're introduced to Dad.
Yes.
Or Daddy.
Yes, Daddy.
And that's it. That's always called for the rest of the thing.
Exactly.
Dad.
He starts searching for a heartbeat and on Brent, and he finds one.
He's like, he's all right.
And then she wants in on the action, so she comes and rests her head on his chest, and she's like, boom, boom, boom. So we get this sense that she's back crazy.
Yeah, she's kind of that crazy, which is every...
she's Fatal Attraction.
Yeah, but she's living this like fantasy, and no matter what's happening around her, she's always in it. So she's playing the pink prissy princess teen. No matter what's happening around her, she is always that. Yeah. And she's very good at acting it, this actress.
God, she's so good.
And now,
so
hard cut to Casey Chambers.
Am I not pretty enough?
Over a montage of like teen girls stuff.
Yeah,
so this
dolls.
is obviously Lola's kind of bedroom. She has like, Smash Hits magazine cut out of, boys.
But all the boys' bodies, all the heads have been removed. She's got some dolls, and then the male dolls all their faces have been bandaged up as well. So...
No, I didn't notice stuff like that.
Yeah. So she starts pulling out a scrapbook, and we get this whole deranged fairy tale kind of thing. So drawings of a castle, Prince Charming, and then, we see her with Brent's picture, and she's drawing a love heart on him and sticking it in that notebook, and
It's a scrapbook, as in scrapbooking.
Yeah.
And as we know, scrapbooking may be the most dastardly thing anyone can do in the world. Like,
yes.
And there's so much scrapbooking in this.
There is. She's real big on that scrapbooking, and from that we definitely get the sense that
her room's full of pink. It's not too like little kid princessy. She's just like
it's almost as if this bedroom has not changed. She's stopped at like maybe 8,
13, or it is basically the manifestation in reality of Casey Chambers. And we get that idea. And now the dad comes into the room and he gives her a bag which has her like prom dress and shoes in it as a gift, and she's like, "Oh, Daddy, blah blah blah."
For Daddy's little princess.
And she puts it on, and we get the dad sneaking a peek at her.
Well, he goes to leave. She's like, "Oh, let me know what you think." And he goes to leave, and she's like, no, just let me know what you think. She immediately undresses. We get the shot of her taking off her clothes. We see her in her bra and her knickers, and
panties.
he's looking at her.
And these are like Aussie knickers as well. These aren't like, sexy these Victoria's Secret.
These are probably, you bought a 10-pack at Coles for $5.
The elastic's gone in the bum on them. But their dad, there is this like distinctively cut shot of the dad, like, and these close-up shots of just thigh regions of her. And kind of the dad looking at it, leering at it, and then realizing he's leering and kind of looking away. And it's just like, and I'm like, oh, here we go.
He wants to fuck his daughter.
Or does he? Or is he? Yeah, it's very implied.
It's an uncomfortable situation. And she zips up the dress, she turns to him, and he's just like, pretty as a picture.
And then we cut, so now we cut a kind of a blurry cut shot of Brent waking up. Close-up shot that I'm pretty sure it pans out. I can't remember. He's dressed up in a prom suit. And my wife was watching it. I think my wife was watching this. And she's like, no, my mum was watching this with me.
No, why?
And she's like, how did he get dressed? My mum asked that. And I'm like, they dressed him, Mum.
Yeah, they dressed him. He was unconscious and they stripped him. And
how did he get dressed? And then we can see he is tied to a chair. So he's tied arms around the back with a rope. Is his feet tied to the legs?
His feet are tied as well, yeah.
Tied to the legs?
Well, his feet are tied together. The chair is welded to the ground.
No, the chair is screwed to the ground.
Yeah, okay.
Get it right. Well, you can't weld a chair to bloody wood.
I didn't know that, but now I do.
You can't weld wood.
I don't know. If you put another piece of metal on the ground and then drill the metal, I don't
You could do it like that.
It's a new hobby of mine. I'll let you know.
What? Creating unescapable torture chairs?
Yes.
Nice.
We see Daddy.
There's a table there as well, like a full farmhouse, old school, whatever those tables are that everyone knows.
This is very Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
It's very Australian as well. That table is like the farm table from my farm years. Oh.
It's a giant room, and the dad is sitting there, and his hair is he's more slicked down. He's in a suit. He's very sort of up straight and sort of smiling at Brent in a very odd way. We see that there is a disco ball hung up, balloons on the floor. It's a party.
In my notes, I wrote, and then we also see, is this where it introduces the other lady?
Yeah, so Lola sort of leans forward, so we know she's there, and then he looks over to the other side, and he sees a woman almost in a vegetative state. She's in a very 80s party dress. Her hair is haggard.
Older.
She's old.
She's like as old as the dad.
Yeah, and she's got a hole in her forehead.
Which I wrote a bullet hole. Because it looks like a bullet hole.
It does.
And then I wrote in my notes, there is a mirrorball though, so it's not all that bad.
Everyone
and there's a light on it. So you got these mirrorball lights in the background for basically the rest of this whole fucking film. Yeah.
So Brent starts to struggle, and he
wakes up. What the fuck?
He tries to free him, but it's no use. And they kind of, at this point as well, like this movie is very heavily soundtrack based to sort of convey some kind of feeling. There is very minimal soundtrack. It's very ambiotic what it is, and they're just watching him struggle, and the dad just stares at him with a smile on his face, and he doesn't even look away, and he leans over and he grabs a bottle of bleach and he hands it to Lola.
Yeah, and so they're acting as if he is not kidnapped. That's what's creepy about this. As if he's there of his own fruition.
He's just there as Lola's date.
It's like he's meeting the date for the first time, and then she's acting as if like everything is fine.
Mm-hmm. So he gets up and starts walking over towards Brent while Lola starts to fill a syringe.
I thought it was Drano, but it couldn't have been Drano because that would have killed you.
Well, you'd think bleach would too, right?
I don't know. I don't actually know like what would happen if you inject bleach, and I don't know what would happen if you inject Drano.
Anyway,
it could be dishwashing liquid.
I think it's got to be stronger than that. So whatever it is, it is a substance. No, and so the dad grabs him by the head, and he kind of just guides Lola into how to correctly inject it into his neck, and then she basically just injects whatever it is, bleach,
it's blue,
Drano, into his throat.
Good
And
25 mils of it as well.
He starts screaming, but as he's screaming, the voice starts to go away. So this is what they've done to silence him. Yes, that's why he can't scream or talk because of the bleach.
Oh, so
That's why they've injected it into his throat.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you know what I thought it was? I thought it was just to make him all like droopy.
No, at no point is he droopy.
So they've burnt his throat with bleach.
Yeah, so he can't scream. Yeah.
No, I didn't get that, hey.
Oh, okay.
Not one bit. I got it as in like, I just thought they were drugging him to make him more lethargic so he couldn't like, because I was like, and that's what I said, he's not very lethargic.
Okay. Yeah, no.
So they've, so now he doesn't talk for the rest of the film.
Yeah, so he can't talk. Whatever's burning him, he cannot talk, he cannot scream.
And the sound he makes here is horrible.
And I don't know how they went about doing this sound. I am interested.
They could have recorded it afterwards.
But it's very interesting. And of course, this sound is horrible. It's not even a scream.
It's like a pig squeal.
A little bit. And Lola and the dad look at each other and they kind of laugh and they're like, "We can't hear you."
Yeah, they say like puns and shit the whole time.
I love a pun.
Anyhow, it's time for family photos that you take. You know, just before the prom.
Prom photo. Yep.
You got to take a prom photo.
And she sits on his lap and he's just looking.
He's just like.
Yeah, he's looking. You know.
He's has he got any blood on him?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yep.
He's just looking like, you know, his lips are very chapped.
You just can't get over this.
Oh man, now he's like they're extra chapped because he hasn't like, you know.
We need a before
Then we
and
cut to
after.
Heartbreak and Weeds.
Yes.
They're headbanging in the car. I think they're just parked out the front of the prom, aren't they?
They are literally outside of the dance.
Yeah.
And
So
they're smoking weed and...
She's fucking
It's all in slow-mo as well. Like, she's smoking the weed in slow-mo. It looks hot. Like, I'm sorry, but certain women smoking is very attractive.
She didn't ever look unattractive.
No, she's very attractive. And she's like chugging away some fucking bottle of something.
She's chugging down a bottle, which I actually think you couldn't have done.
No, it's like a tequila or a vodka.
Yeah, she's like sculling like a quarter of a bottle in one.
Yeah, she's not sucking down UDLs or anything like that. It's
she's trying to wipe herself out because she doesn't want to be there.
Yeah.
She's actually like actively trying to like fuck it up.
Yeah, and it's all done in very slow mo, and Jamie's he's very into weeds.
Weeds is he's kind of smoking his weed and stuff, and like, you know, they're headbanging and he's kind of like, all right, yeah, cool, man. Yeah, he's probably thinking it's probably time to go in, but I'll keep going because she's pretty.
Yes. Whatever the date wants. We cut back to Lola and the Fam Bam, and they're eating their chicken in absolute silence.
So the chicken had the chicken is there.
So there is absolutely no sound. All you can hear is the eating, the slurping, and the sucking on the chicken. Brent is quietly trying to free himself. And
we see a lot of shots of like his hands kind of moving around. He's always working on his bloody hands.
Yep. And Lola finishes sucking on a bone. She's got the wishbone, and she's like, "Here you go, Daddy. Let's do the wishbone."
I think this is an Australian thing, hey?
I think so.
I think the wishbone in a chicken thing, because I used to do it with my parents as well, and I'm like, have never seen that on television apart from in maybe Australian things. It might not be.
Yeah, maybe.
So this might be a full Aussie
American people. Let us know.
Yeah. Whether you wish on the corpse bone of a bird.
The dad pulls it, he gets the wish, and she immediately looks
shattered.
Like,
this is her night.
And he knows it. So this could result in a tantrum, but he's just like, "Oh, my wish was for you."
Anyway,
and she's like, "Oh, but my wish was for you," and it's weird. And awkward.
What do you mean?
And she immediately asks, she's like, "Okay, who looks prettier, me or Bright Eyes?" So Bright Eyes is the name of the other woman that is there.
Yeah, that whole thing. Who looks prettier?
It's weird. And
fishing for compliments.
The next 5 minutes or so is where we get a true sort of sense of how absolutely fucking sadistic Lola is. And she picks up her drumstick and she starts to sort of force the chicken into her mouth.
Feed this like half lobotomized lady. At this point in my notes, I hate this film. I hate crazy mean films. And this is what this film is.
Yep.
Don't get me wrong. This film is brilliantly made and it's acted amazingly, but yeah, I'm not a fan of torture porn.
Yeah, you struggled.
Oh, man.
But you watched it in one sitting,
so I didn't have to. So it wasn't in my mind for the rest of the week.
Yeah.
And So yeah, she's jamming this drumstick leg into this like half lobotomized, like who's like struggling and choking, and I'm like, oh my god.
And then she tries to sort of force a glass of milk in her mouth as well, and she kind of spits it out. And then she sort of turns to Brent, and she's like, "Do you want some of this?" She's like, "What are you looking at?" And then she's like, "Do you want some?" And she starts to play the airplane games, like, "Make way for the airplane." And then she tries to sort of force it into Brent's mouth.
Force feed him.
And she's like, "Is it finger licking good?"
But he doesn't eat the chicken. He's
He doesn't. He is acting like a child, a toddler that you're trying to force peas down their face. That he's like, face is all scrunched up. He's like, none of that. It's not happening.
Yeah.
He is not giving her the reaction that she wants. So she shoots a quick look at Dad, and he immediately gets up, like without hesitation, gets up and walks over to the kitchen counter and walks back, putting a hammer on the table.
A claw hammer.
And she asks again, and no response. So he hits the hammer on the table, and Brent nods. Yep, he is hungry, and she basically makes him suck her fingers.
Yeah, she goes, is it finger... he kind of like has a bit of chicken or whatever it is. I can't remember. But yeah, and then she's like, oh, is it finger licking good? That's the thing that she's like, she wants him just to say it's finger licking good.
Yeah.
Is it finger licking good?
Because she's not getting the response.
And that's when the dad hits the hammer down, just to get the response to, is it finger licking good?
Mm-hmm.
And then Lola makes Brent suck the chicken juices off of her finger, which I was like, bite her finger off.
Yeah.
But she's doing that whole thing. There's that actual power play that people do where they give you the opportunity. Like, is it moonlighting? Is that what it's called? Gaslighting, yeah. Like, she's basically gaslighting him into the thing of this, like, she's opening an opportunity for him to hurt her, but he won't do it.
Yeah.
And whilst Brett is sucking her finger, she like goes into like throes of almost orgasm, and we see the dad get really jealous of this, and awkward and stuff, and then that kind of ends that scene. Mm-hmm. She takes it out, and she's just like,
because she realizes that the dad's still there, and she kind of sort of like comes back like, oh, I might get into trouble for this.
And Brent's he devises a great idea. He's like, oh, I have to go to the toilet. Yeah. And they're going to have to untie me. So and he's like, low. So he does talk here.
Well, it's kind of like...
He's just like, toilet. And he asks to go to Danny. And Lola goes like, oh, what does she do? She gets a glass.
She literally downs a glass of milk.
She sculls a whole pint of milk.
Unzips his pants.
Pulls out his wanger.
And is basically like, okay, you're ready to go. And obviously, if you've got some kind of sadistic, crazy killer standing there...
You get stage fright.
He
can't go.
And so Dad gets up, and he sort of stands there, and she gives the countdown. She's like, if you don't...
Wee in 10
seconds, he's going to nail it to the chair.
He's going to nail your dick. He's got this big fucking roofing nail, and he's like holding it above his dick, and she's doing the countdown. And so here's some of these. There's a lot of these like tense moments in the film. So I was just like, fuck this shit. Already, there's nothing even really has happened to him yet.
No,
compared to what happens to him.
This is the party. This is the fun times he's having currently. Lucky for Brent, at the final second he starts to pee, which is great.
And then she's like, "Oh, look at her." She's like, "Oh, great." And then the dad almost looks disappointed that he wee. They didn't get to nail
I think
the
he was kind of looking forward to nailing him, because I think the dad's a little bit jealous that she has eyes for this boy.
Well, I think he's as jealous that she has eyes for anyone.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then Lola threatens to bite his dick off.
Yeah, she's like, oh, it's crying, I should kiss it better. And then she's like, oh, maybe I'll bite it off, and then, Holly can't have your dick and whatever. And as soon as she mentions Holly, I think Brent's at that point where he's gotten his hands free, and he leans back and he kicks her in the chest.
He kicks Lola onto the kitchen table, and I'm like, fuck yes.
Yeah, and
you know what I mean?
So like, hard
he's free, he's up.
Yeah, it's so hard that she moves the table as well, and he goes hopping out of the room.
Yeah, because he's feet it. And because, like, she gets kicked over and that, like, Dad goes, oh, fuck. And he goes to the Lola to see she's all right. And this gives you an opportunity
So Brent's
to hop out like a funny rabbit man.
So he's made his way out the house, and Dad comes walking up very soon after, and he's looking around the backyard. It's dark, so he puts the spotlights on.
And you're like, yay, Brent's got away.
And you're like, oh yeah, this is great. Like Brent's done. It's fine. Brent is under the car, and he's currently using his razor blade to try and cut his feet free.
Yeah. He cuts his legs ropes open.
He does, and he tries to roll out from under the car.
No, the car backs back.
Yeah. The dad gets into the car and he backs the car back.
Because he's going to go off and look for him.
Yep.
And like as he backs back over Brent, like the headlights are on and Brent's just sitting there. Like,
he's like, uh-oh, I've been made. And he starts running. And we get this point of view shot, like the headlight shot, chasing Brent throughout the backyard. So it's a massive backyard.
POV shot of a car.
Yeah. And then he's like running through the washing, and he climbs a tree, and the ute sort of hits into the tree. So now Brent is up a tree, and Lola comes running out with a flashlight.
With a dolphin torch?
With a dolphin torch, and they're trying to find him in the tree.
They're looking up there. It's like this is a very Australian thing, like spotlighting for animals.
Yeah.
So they're up there. There he is.
Yep.
Like, as if you'd say. And they just start chucking rocks at him.
They do. They start pelting rocks at him, and
it's good for a while.
Lola decides that she wants to have a crack at it, and she starts pelting. Then she starts fucking cackling like she's queen of the harpies.
No, she's just having too much fun.
She's really into it.
Anyhow, Lola chucks a rock at him, and it hits him in the fair.
It clocks him. It
clocks Brent in the head, and he falls down.
Thunks.
He falls onto the car and then onto the
right
ground.
onto the bottom and onto the ground. This looked so
she
good.
KOs
it
him,
looked
basically.
like it would fucking hurt. It did. It looked really good. And now they're back inside. Sorry, Brent, you're not getting away just yet.
He's back on the chair.
They tie him to the chair, and Dad starts nailing steak knives into his feet.
Yep, into the floorboards through his feet. The noise he makes, Brent, that when the dad first puts the knife into his foot is so gross.
It's
like the most
hideous.
amount of pain I've ever heard anyone ever be in. It's not like a yell or anything, because it's like this burnt throat yell.
Well, not just that, but I'm guessing that as you're screaming, that itself is causing you more pain as well. Like that would, oh my God, poor Brent.
And so Lola, whilst this is happening, like, so the dad's nailing both feet to them very slowly, like hammering it. Lola jumps on his lap, and he's just like in massive pain, but she's like, cry.
Yeah, she's straddling him, and this is weird. She's in his face,
and she wants him to cry, but he won't.
No, at this point, we see Brent, like, he's had it, and he's resisting, and he's just like looking at her defiantly angry, like, I will not cry.
Yeah, and he's still getting hammered his feet into now, but it's up to the point where there's no more pain can possibly be. So.
Yeah. Well, you imagine he's like cried or not cried over the loss of his dad. Like,
this is nothing.
So he's like, I've not done this. I'm not doing this for you.
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself.
He like defiantly just looks at her with fucking hate. It's wicked.
Oh my God. I think as the last one he does, like the dad nailing in the knife, I think the last one he does is like, and that's for the ute. Because he like crashed the ute into the tree. Yeah. But it wasn't even that much to cause any damage.
Anyhow, we cut to the cop.
Yes.
Cop dad. He's out and about looking like out in the bush where, investigating where Brent was before he got like, well, he doesn't know he's kidnapped. But he finds like, Brent's iPod and his weed.
His little tiny bag of weed.
Tiny bag. Oh,
tiny
take
bag.
what you can get in the country town.
It's true.
And he's like, puts it into an evidence bag.
Yep.
And that's it. That's that scene.
Cut back to Holly. She's bringing Brent's mum a nice cup of tea. And then they start talking about Brent. And then she's like, she talks about how Brent thinks that she blames him for the death of the father. And Holly just responds with, do you? So it's an awkward fucking conversation. But luckily, cop dad rocks up, knocks on the door, and they can no longer have that conversation. And he holds up the bag of Brent's stuff.
Of the gear. Anyhow, cut back to Lola and Brent. And she's, she's sitting there showing off her scrapbooking. As we all know, people that are crazy do scrapbooking.
So we now get a list she runs through. So she runs through Keir Willis. Such a baby.
Yeah, so these are her older victims. And then we get the idea like, oh, fuck,
ex-boyfriends.
They do this every year
all
for
the
prom.
time.
That's all. I think it's every prom.
I would say so, yeah. Duncan Fletcher, she's like, he wet himself. And she shows a picture of him, her standing next to him.
And she's like 8.
She looks very young, and she shows off him, and he's got the big love heart carved in his chest. She's like, Reese Agnew, he's boring. And she's like, here's the one that got away, Timmy Valentine. And Brent realizes that this was the boy that
he goes, he got away. He's probably dead now. Like, they don't even try.
They don't care. They really don't care.
Yeah, and that's at the point when we realise.
And then she kind of looks at him. She's like, and lucky last. And she's like, I'm ready to draw on him now, Daddy.
But then at this point, we also realise that the guy that Brent swerved at the start of the film was that guy who had escaped.
Yep.
So basically now he has even more reason to hate these people because they basically killed his dad as well.
Correct.
And they've obviously been affecting the whole town for years because they've been kidnapping people from this very small rural, which I felt they would have been.
There would have been a little bit more information, like curfews and stuff. Like boys are going.
The fact that dude got kidnapped with her initials carved in his chest.
Well, because no one's ever found them.
Yeah, but the one that got away?
Yep. He was never found.
Did it say that in the report?
So it was said at some point, and I'll explain why later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought like they would have that guy from the car crash.
No, because he would have because for reasons, we'll get into it.
All right, so we cut back to Heartbreak High and Weeds still in the car getting high.
The music has now changed. So when they were first there, they were first kind of rocking out in the car. They were listening to some heavy shit. Now it's changed to more of a stoner rock kind of music. So it's very like chill. They're very relaxed. And Jamie, he's
mellowing out.
Yeah, he's once again sort of like creeping on her a bit. He's just staring at her.
He said maybe we should go in.
Yeah, he does. He suggests he's like maybe we should go into the dance, and she's like, well, maybe we should just. And she starts blowing weed into his mouth.
Yeah,
weed
like that, whatever that's called.
Shotgunning or something. I don't know. Feel that's weird.
We cut back to Brent.
We get this shot of a bloody fork, and then it cuts to Brent, and he is shirtless, so his shirt's just been ripped open, and
a fork.
We understand that something's happened to Brent. We don't know yet, and we see Lola standing next to her dad, and she's holding a fork with blood just absolutely dripping down her arms. And he said, like, the dad just says, "Oh, your drawing gets better every time, love." And we cut to she has just carved this massive fucking love heart with an arrow and the initials LS onto his chest.
Which makes me think that, if they had found that guy.
Yeah, like, it's an indication. So the dad starts
and he's in agony.
Oh, my God. He is in so much agony. The dad starts to sort of throw... He's got a salt shaker and he's just sort of,
rubbing salt in the wounds, literally and metaphorically.
So
and
he's just like the sound that her.
Also Brent makes when the salt goes onto him is just like, oh my God.
Yes, and she's just like, she demands the salt shaker from her dad, and she's like, too much salt is bad for you, and she immediately opens the lid and pours the entire content onto his chest, and he starts screaming, like pig squealing again, and they're just sitting there like, we can't hear you, and, and he is suffering so bad.
I wrote my notes here, man, Brent looks like shit now.
He really does. I think halfway through I make note of just how bad he's looking.
Yeah.
He was looking bad at the beginning of the film. It's not getting better. We cut to Holly. She walks into Brent's room.
She's all upset. She's kind of just moping around, just like doesn't know what to do with herself.
Well, she's in the house, so I think she's there to support Mum, but also she wants to know where her boyfriend is. She goes into his room. She finds a bunch of flowers, native flowers, very pretty.
Which would have been for her for the prom.
He's would have picked them himself, I reckon. Oh. And she finds a card that basically says, "I love you." So she is just immediately like, "Oh my God, he does love me!" Like, and it's now even sadder because he's missing.
We cut back to Weeds and Heartbreak again. Man, there's so many cutbacks to these two. They finally go into the dance.
Yes,
they go in, and that's it. They've gone in.
Yep.
And we cut.
Well, he gets out of the car So there's no more music at this point as well. So the music for them has stopped. She's just sitting there. She's fucked up, like beyond. Oh my goodness, poor girl.
She's wasted.
And he gets out of the car and he opens her door and she just falls out. She just flops out into the car. She's absolutely fuck-eyed. That's it.
She's ridden off, as they say.
Oh, we cut back to the dad and he is making an announcement. This year's Queen of the Dance.
And the lights have been lowered, so it's like,
Yep.
the prom announcement.
Exactly. He opens a fake envelope and he's like, Lola Stone. And then she does that, very fake sort of like act surprise. And you're like, oh my God. And she starts, blowing the party blower. And
Party whistle.
The dad's blowing the party whistle and she's blowing and she's looking at Brent. She's like, blow your whistle, King. And at this point, like, Brent is just slouched in the chair with a party whistle hanging out of his mouth and like
funny,
one of those party crowns on his head. And it does look
and with blood pissing out everywhere.
His chest is cut up and
his lips are chapped.
So fucking chapped.
They're getting so chapped.
And he's just absolutely fucking defeated. And he just won't blow it. And the dad picks up the hammer. And we cut back to Brent and he's trying his hardest to just like...
To blow it. It's
just like... It's just...
the little... Because one of those, like, what do they go out?
Yeah.
Like the thing. It doesn't even go... It just goes...
Yeah. It doesn't even make the sound that much.
Comedy.
So, the dad crowns Lola. He puts one of the party...
Hats on her?
Yeah, the party hats. It's like just a paper party crown.
It's like a Christmas hat.
Yeah.
Party popper hat.
Yes. And... this piece of music is just pure fantasy. So as he's crowning her in slow motion, she's like, I'm the prettiest girl at the ball. It's this sort of harp kind of like fantasy music.
Yeah, it's the music in her head.
And again, she is just completely in her own world. That is it. She's fucking gone.
And then
that
the dad,
chicken is cooked.
And then the dad takes a photo of them together.
Yeah.
Like, another prom.
So we cut back to Weeds and Heartbreak.
The actual dance.
At the actual dance, finally. All the kids are there and they're slow dancing. And she is
It's a very packed dance as well.
It is,
It's like the one from Back to the Future.
This is pre-COVID.
I know.
And she is just slumped over him and he kind of looks like he's struggling to hold her up.
Yeah, she's like...
She's gone.
Paro.
She starts to sort of stroke his hair and then decides to start cupping his dick. And
I thought she puts her hands down his pants and starts jerking him off or trying.
Nothing goes in the pants. It's all on the outside of the pants.
Oh, was it?
I think there's some heavy petting going on.
And Principal Skinner comes up and goes, McFly!
He's just like, if you want to do that, you need to go elsewhere.
Yeah, so they get kicked out of the prom, basically.
Yeah. They were there for like 5 minutes.
And they get asked to leave. Well, she's trying to fuck it up. We cut back to Lola sitting on Brent.
Yes.
On his lap.
Yep. And it's once again, the Am I Not Pretty Enough is playing. Oh my God. And,
what would Casey Chambers think about this film?
Hey, look, if that's how she's going to be remembered, that's how every time I hear that song, this is all I can think of.
And it's to that song in slow-mo.
Yeah, they're having this weird slow-mo dancing.
Like
he's still knifed to the floor too.
Yeah, he's still knifed to the floor. She's kind of sitting or straddling him like they're dancing.
No, he's standing up.
Oh, is he?
He is standing up, so they're slow dancing. The dad's behind, because I think he's standing on the chair.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like dropping glitter on them.
Yeah, so we get this hilarious this slow-mo montage of glitter coming down. They're dancing.
So not only does he have salt in his wound, he's got glitter too, and that shit doesn't come out.
Oh, yeah, I know. And he's got knives through his feet.
Oh, my God. She's like...
And he's got bleach in his throat.
Oh, he's having a rough trot. And she says, when I find my prince, this is the song that's going to play when we dance at our wedding. And she's like, but you're not him.
You're not my prince.
Just another frog. And immediately
frog? Oh, yeah. Frog. I get it now. Yeah.
She stamps on his feet and then...
Makes him a bit more hurt.
Yep. And she asks her dad for a dance. And this is insanely awkward because they sort of go to the other side of the room. It's like for them in this moment, there is no one else in the room.
It's like a big farmhouse, like one-room farmhouse with a kitchen, the family room, everything is in this one room, and then he's got like maybe a toilet and some bedrooms off this one room.
Yeah, like 2 rooms
but
maybe.
it's quite a large room.
And, you know, so Brent at this point, he's trying to find his razor from his pocket.
He's a razor blade necklace.
As they're dancing, unfortunately, he drops it on the chair, and he's kind of like, they didn't hear it.
Brent, you idiot.
And she's like, oh, you know, Daddy, you're my, you know, it's always been you.
You've always been my
I can never find the right guy because you're my prince. And they start to lean in for a kiss, which is awkward as hell. But thank fuck, Brent slumps down into the seat because he's been standing there nailed to the floor. Yeah, he kind of
slumps down, which like breaks them out of their moment.
Brings them out of it, and they look at him. This is just, I'm so glad that nothing happened there. That was weird.
Even for the actress having to kiss that man.
I mean, she would have done it. She's fucking good.
And then we cut to the cop.
Yep.
And Holly have met up. Mm-hmm. And he says, you know, not to worry, we're going to find him.
Yeah, search and rescue will be out in the morning.
Yeah.
We'll find him.
And then Holly calls her mum. Mm-hmm. And then, so there's now that she's gone.
Yeah, Holly's gone home.
She sat on the bed and she decides to call her mum, you know. Yep. And she just gets a voicemail and, you know.
So her mum's clearly somewhere else and Holly is just by herself as well.
Yep.
So this is maybe she's just such an insanely lonely girl as well.
Yeah. She's at her wit's end. She starts crying. Yeah, that's it. That's just the show that's fucked.
Yeah.
There are a lot of scenes in this film I actually think are pointless.
There are a couple, yeah, because
I'll get to that, right? Yeah, but what at the end I've written the ones I'm like, I don't think these bits were needed.
Yeah, like I feel that they were probably trying to be character development, but there was
it just feels like there are scenes that of characters that are doing things that are going to end in like some of like, you know, their actions are going to solve whatever's happening, but they don't. It's just their storylines stop, and you're like, why?
Maybe it's some filler because this film is only an hour and a half.
I reckon it was filler, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyhow, we cut to Dad. Here we go.
Yep.
We cut to the possum. The old possum that they picked up on the way in.
Remember the possum?
Oh, continuity. The old possum. We cut to Dad chopping the head off the possum on the old kitchen bench.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. He throws the body over to Lola.
Yeah, catch.
He picks up a bucket of water and they walk over to the lounge room area.
They move the table or something. And,
no, they just pull back the rug.
Pull back a rug, yeah.
And to reveal a hidden...
double trap door.
It's very similar to Evil Dead, kind of. Like the fact that it's in this room that they're all living with.
Like we can say like the...
And they're heavy doors as well.
Two big iron doors.
Yeah. And they start to pull them back. It's obviously big, heavy, and soundproof because as they lift it up, we hear the shrieks and screams, which are exactly the same as Brent's.
Distorted screams.
Just in an abundance. And Brent, he's now frantically trying to free himself.
And I was like, oh, shit, they've kept them all. Mm-hmm. And I was like, people under the stairs.
Right.
Did you get that straight?
I did. I got that feeling as well. And so, you know... the dad, he pours the bucket of water into the hole.
He's like, drinky, drinky, boys.
Yep. And, you know, she demands whatever is down there to sing for their supper. So they're not making enough noise for her. She wants them to be louder, which is just so sadistic.
And which is like, they're going to feed them bloody roadkill possum.
Yeah, they're just going to throw a possum down there. It's fine. Jamie and Mia pull up. So we cut back to them. They've pulled up in a car somewhere.
Weeds and Heartbreak.
Weeds and Heartbreak. They've pulled up in somewhere. We don't know where.
They've gone somewhere. They've they've left the prom. They've parked. She, you know,
which
Heartbreak.
Is kind of
Heartbreak.
Funny.
What?
This it's kind of funny.
It's like it's got all the marks of a prom night, but not done in the right way.
Yeah, and she just immediately jumps him, and then we cut straight back to Dad in slow-mo walking out of the house. So he's going somewhere for something. And then we cut back again and Jamie, Weeds and Heartbreak, they're really going... like
they're banging on the back seat.
They are straight up fucking. Like she's... yeah, we don't need to go into...
She's got no top. She's on top of him. She's like riding him.
She's going for gold. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there is a knock at the window and they are immediately interrupted. And it's the principal. And he's like, when I meant go somewhere else, I meant off the school property. So they've just reversed, driven down a little bit and parked.
Which is something I think as an idiot kid I would have done. Just like, well, I want to get into, you know.
You can't see me if I'm at the other end.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't think that'd even come out.
No.
Anyhow, we cut to the dad. Evil Dad, he's gone outside and he has gone and got himself a drill.
Well, he's gone and gotten his good old faithful toolbox.
Oh, his toolbox, sorry.
Yep.
Brings it inside.
Lola starts letting Brent know. She's like, this is going to be my first drilling.
And I was like, oh, fuck. At this point, when I put 2 and 2 together, that the lady at the start had a drill hole in her head. Not a bullet hole, because I was like, because I thought he thought it was a bullet hole. I'm like, oh, they might have just accidentally shot her and she stayed alive. But no, it was a drill mark. And I'm like, oh, dear.
And Dad hands her the drill and he starts to give her a little bit of information. Don't go too far.
Not too deep. You just want to pierce the skull.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck off.
Yeah, and he hands Lola the drill.
She's not very good at holding the drill because she's never done it before and she's very princessy.
It's true. Brent kind of looks like he's fed up with the shenanigans and he's just... he does. He's at this point, he's just kind of fed up with what's happening. He's like, fucking, what more could happen? He's still trying to sort of cut through his ropes.
He's concentrating on the ropes.
As she turns on the drill, I don't know if you noticed this, but as she turns, like she goes to the drill, you can hear the shrieks from the hole start to get louder. So it's as if they remembered that sound and it's like causing a reaction. It's
causing a bit of trauma. And there's lots of tension here. So, it's the slowest... it's the slowest possible way someone could just extend their arm.
Yeah, like she's literally on the other side of the room and is holding her arm out, slowly walking to him, like with the drill on.
Like a gun. Like a gat.
And the dad's held Brent very, very tightly.
He's got him like in a kind of a headlock with his hand on top of his head, so Brent can't move at all, and he's still like, oh, fuck, shit, I don't want to get drilled.
Yeah, and she immediately like touches his skin, but it...
Yeah, but this tension of her like holding the drill out on... and it's walking slowly towards... She doesn't know how drills work. It was like, I was like, oh, man, they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it.
And she loses control of the drill.
Yeah, and as soon as it hits his head, because if anyone has drilled before, if you try just holding it out and drill something, it doesn't zink away. So it zinks down his forehead and cuts him.
So the dad's like, you need 2 hands and you need to lean into the body.
He's like, you got to push harder.
Yeah. So... she's 2 hands, leans in, she starts drilling into his head. You can see smoke coming out. You can hear the sounds, the bone.
He's making a horrible noise, and I was like, oh, man, when's this going to end?
It's rough.
So this is, from now in the film, I was just waiting for the moment, the change in tides I wanted. I wanted it so bad, and little did I know how long it was going to take me to get that.
Well, and it's so funny because once again, this is only like an hour and a half film.
Oh, it feels like it's like 20 hours, this film. I was like, oh, fuck, shit, dude, God.
So she hits bone, and Dad screams, stop. It's perfect. At this point, obviously...
No, she breaks bone.
Yeah, she breaks the bone.
And I looked up after this. I looked up, can you survive with a hole in your skull? Because there wasn't many like actual things on people getting drilled in the skull. There was a bit like apparently there's a whole syndrome where just holes open up in your skull.
That's terrifying. And
it happens to a lot of people, and apparently you can just like. But I thought your brain was like surrounded by liquid, like in a capsule. So if that leaks out, surely that must be bad. But then again, they have open brains.
There's like a protective casing around your brain.
What?
So there's like a protective like casing around your brain that you've got to kind of like.
Didn't she drill through that? No,
presumably not.
Yeah, right.
Yes. All right. This is it for Brent. He starts having flashes of his dad. He starts having flashes of Holly. This is it for Brent. He's fucked. And you hear the kettle.
It's shots of all the people he's loved in his life. Yeah. Which is fucked.
The kettle starts to...
Yeah, this whole town sound like there's this high-pitched kettle sound. And at first it started subtle and it was getting louder and louder. I'm like, oh, the kettle's on.
Yeah.
And I thought nothing of it. I was just like, cool way to like go to the next scene. Like, the kettle, you hear the kettle going and then like the dad walks off. I'm like, oh yeah, cool.
Yep. And she immediately turns to Brent. She's like, it works, bows your brain, turns you into one of them. And
I was like, get fucked. Now they're going to pour boiling water into his brain, into his hole.
The dad hands her the kettle.
Because at first I was like, yeah, why isn't he brain dead?
Yeah.
Because he was like, he's not brain dead. Because I thought that was just enough to make someone brain dead, drilling into their head.
No.
Oh, no.
No.
Yeah, so they're going to put boiling water into his fucking hole. This is right in the middle of his forehead as well.
Yeah.
And then I've written in here my notes, is it worth surviving? You always get to the point in these torture porn films, you're going to have a fucking hole in your forehead no matter what, even if he gets away.
Yep. Well, that's the thing. So you imagine...
Texas Chainsaw, was it worth surviving?
That's right. He's now got someone's initials carved into his body. He's got knife holes in his feet and he's got a hole in his head.
Fucking, it's like a Nine Inch Nails song.
Yeah, right. So she goes to pour in the water, but she misses and ends up pouring it onto Dad's arms.
And he's like, all right, try again. Go slower.
Try again. But then she starts complaining. She's like, oh, the hole's too small. Can you make it bigger, Daddy? And he's like, all right. And he starts, once again, he just grabs Brent. And he just drills into his head like nothing.
Yeah, no, he doesn't just drill into his head. He puts the drill into him and
like,
starts twisting it.
Yeah.
And then we get all these sounds of like breaking bone and like you see the smoke coming up from the skull heating up from the drill. I've written in my notes, this film is horrible. The tide better turn soon. I've written in my notes. Little did I know that there's still more 10.
I must say that this sounded insane on my noise cancelling headphones.
I don't like it.
Insane.
I didn't like it. But as I said, everything is it's not realistic. It's realistic as hell. All the acting is great. The shots are beautiful in this film.
The cinematography is fucking
the content is
it's brilliant. Yeah. So Brent, this is the point because now this is going to happen to him and he needs to start to fight. So he really starts to fight. He lets out this pig squeal of a scream. He cuts through the ropes and he slices. He slices into the dad's face
with the razor blade.
Yep.
So we're finally.
Yeah.
We get the whole time that these drill plates were happening. I was so sure they weren't going to happen. I was like, this is the moment. This is the moment.
Yeah.
This is the moment. And then this one comes out and I was like, oh, this is great. He breaks the ropes. He slashes the dad's face. He doesn't just slash the dad's face. He's fucking like, it's from like one whole side of his forehead all the way down into the brim of his nose, all the way down the side of his cheek, and it's open. It's like he's grabbed and gone, yank.
Yeah, it is a fucking... Because, I mean, razor blades are very, very sharp.
Yes.
Don't know if you know that. They're sharp.
Well, it's one of those square razor blades, yeah. He grabs the drill,
he does,
Brent, and he uses it, which I thought was pretty thing, to cut the ropes on his feet.
Yep.
He has to pull, and at this time, Lola goes to it.
She's not even doing it. She's just sort of standing next to the credenza screaming. And she
she's
starts
kind of she doesn't know what's going on.
Screaming about her dad's face because then we get this real good fucking look at it. And then Brent uses this opportunity because she's doing nothing.
He pulls the knives out of his feet
my God,
one by one.
And the dad goes towards Brent to attack him, but Brent full pelts the drill into his face.
Which would hurt so much.
Oh my God. And then just repetitively stabbing into his neck.
Yeah, so his foot knives.
Yeah.
He uses one of his foot steak knives to stab sideways into the dad's neck. And not just a stab in, a fucking stab.
It goes,
stab, in, out,
at one point
It's like
it gets
a sexy
stuck.
neck fuck. With a knife.
Oh, shit.
And
that escalated so fast. And it gets stuck.
And it gets stuck in there. So he's like I think he stabbed him 5 times already into the dad's neck and then leaves the last fucking knife in the dad's neck.
And it looks
the dad's still
good.
just fucking standing there.
He's just so wide-eyed and surprised that what the fuck has happened. And it just looks good.
Lola regains a bit of a fucking consciousness. She jumps onto the back of Brent. Stop fucking up my dad. They wrestle.
Drops him to the floor. They wrestle.
Because he's like, he's pretty wounded. He can't walk properly. He still walks though.
No, I mean, he's got all the, I'm feeling...
Adrenalines. And,
he'd be...
And also, he's had a fucking drill put in his face.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Brent, they wrestle for a while. Brent stands up and has a great moment where he just full pelts, punches her in the nose.
Yeah.
She doesn't drop, and then he just full pelts, punches her to the thing. 2 face hits, and fucking splits her fucking nose all over her face.
Yeah.
And I was just like, at least I'm getting that. Like, they do a really good job of you hating this girl, eh?
Oh, my God. It's hard to watch her
because she's
doing this because she does such a good job.
You always because you know how if you see someone else's kid that you don't like and they're acting like a spoiled brat, you hate them.
Yeah.
You hate them straight away because they're not your child. This is like the ultimate version of that. And they're doing such horrible things that you hate them on so many grounds. And then he did this double face punch. Mm-hmm. It was good.
Because it looks good as well, yeah.
The dad's still just standing there, dying.
Yeah, it's all happening. He runs over to the dad and he pushes the dad, Sparta pushes him into the pit.
Yeah, this is Sparta. Into this dark pit. We see like the ground. It's probably, how deep do you reckon it was? About probably a story and a half.
Yeah.
Deep.
Like
So
you couldn't get out of it.
I think it was
if you
an
tried.
attic. Is it attic? Is that the bottom
basement.
part? No, a converted basement.
Yeah.
So it would have been there, and they've
But
like,
it's deep. It's deep.
it's got concrete on the ground everywhere. It's concreted up, so obviously the soundproofing and stuff like
Yep.
that. We see the dad slam onto the ground, and then we see 3 fucking people under the stairs. Dudes come out, and they start just fucking chowing into the dad's neck, eating him up. Because, you know,
And they're like
wild animals.
they are tiny. They are so skinny, and they're barely. I don't think they're wearing clothes.
No,
I think
they'd
there's
be-
like some underwear or something.
They're
But
malnourished, yeah.
They're very
still
malnourished,
Yeah, I
yeah.
thought they should have had dicks in this scene because, like, they wouldn't wear pants.
no, I mean you get to the point because
Like
they
that Outlast video game, just swinging wangs.
swinging wangs.
Yeah,
because
it
I mean
would've
they've been down there for a long time.
Anyhow, then out of nowhere, the most disappointing thing in the whole film happens. Lola fucking kicks Brent into the hole.
I fell in the pit.
So she kicks him off. It pushes him in. He kind of grabs the edge. She slams the hammer down. He falls down into the pit. I'm like, fuck, man.
Yep.
Give him a break.
She calls for Dad, but no such luck. She's realised that he's gone.
She has a schizoid embolism.
Yep.
Basically, she has a fit. She grabs anything in her hands, reaches and starts throwing it into the hole, which is great because they're useful items. She
thanks.
throws the hammer into at Brent. She throws the fucking dolphin torch at him. Maybe a couple other things or
There's
some
a few things.
useless
Like
items.
a cup.
And stuff like that. Yeah. And then she like closes. You know,
Shuts
she
the
stands
doors.
up and closes the trap doors, which makes it pitch dark.
Yep.
We have a black scene. We hear scrabbling and sounds. We hear Brent turn on the dolphin torch.
Yep. So the look of these guys, because these boys have started to sort of descend on Brent now,
They're
because
like, ooh.
he's just like, oh, this could be dinner.
But why didn't they eat each other if they eat people?
That's the question that I did have to myself, but also that I think they're at the point of being so malnourished that you wouldn't get anything out of them anyway.
Maybe
Maybe.
they got some sort of pack mentality or some shit. Who knows?
Quite possibly. They look good
But
though.
if
The
he'd
effects.
been boiled and thrown down there, would they have eaten him? See, that doesn't make sense, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Anyhow, maybe it's because he's got a flashlight
Could be.
and he's shining it on them. Anyhow, then we get a fucking one runs at him.
Takes
Brent,
it out with a hammer.
He's got the hammer. He fucking thonks him in the head with the hammer. I guess that killed him
Yeah.
because
I think a slight breeze would kill them.
And then we get kind of this fast cuts, torchlights flashing everywhere, faces, sounds, battling sounds, you know, and to show that, you know, Brent is now fighting the remaining 2 fucking dudes.
Yep.
Victims. And these are the 3 that she previously mentioned in the scrapbook. So
Yep.
it's all coming together. It's all very neat, this film.
Oh, very. So Lola is now standing in the middle of the room, and just her nose is gushing blood. Whatever last lingering hope of her sanity has just flown. It's flown the coop.
The last lingering hope of her prom working at her
right?
prom night. She's realized
God.
it's ruined.
Yep.
It's ruined.
It's ruined.
And yeah, it's just like
my
moment
God,
of
yeah.
her. Yeah. Anyhow, we cut to Weeds and heartbreak. He's dropping her back home. He's like rocked up to, you know, cop dad meets him at the door.
Yep.
Cop dad kind of understands what his daughter's like. You know, Weeds is there standing there like he doesn't really know how to react. He's bringing the Paro daughter home, but yeah, as I said, dad's used to this kind of thing. He understands it's not Weeds' fault.
And he just kind of turns. He's like, oh, must have danced her off her feet.
Yeah, Weeds is great, joke.
He's trying. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, like, you know, you bring someone's daughter home paro and you're a cop, you're in some trouble.
Well, Weeds was worried about. Number one, you're a weed smoker.
Yeah.
And you're dropping it off her Paro daughter to the cop of the town. We assume there's only one cop in this town.
Yeah, probably.
Anyhow, that's that scene. Cut back to the hole.
In the hole. So Brent is very lovely. He covers all the corpses. And
Yeah, so he's won. We see this. He has
He's-
won. He's used his powers of hammer. He thawed it up.
He did. And he starts surveying his
I've written
surroundings.
Brett has taken out all the other cunts. I wrote in my notes.
Nice. He's looking around for any possible chance of escape.
There are bones everywhere.
There's just bones.
Yeah, well,
So
they all
they've been
human
down there
bones,
a
or was it
long
just
time.
heaps of bones?
I feel that there was some human, some animal, some... I don't know.
It's like the bones I got on my Mortal Realms magazine this week, my Warhammer
That's
magazine.
right.
It's
I
my
like
skull
that.
pack.
Ugh.
Anyhow,
We get a POV shot of a door opening and we see Bright Eyes sitting on her bed, just sort of facing the wall. She's just been sitting there the whole time.
right. Oh, that's the mum, isn't it?
Yeah.
The lobotomized. Like, oh, so she's had. So yeah, at this point I hadn't realised it. Yeah. Oh, so she's been
So
drilled.
she would have been the first one
drilling.
that they did it to.
How did they work that out to put the boiling water in there? Was it experimental?
So that's so Jeffrey Dahmer did that to his victims.
Really?
Yeah.
He what,
Yeah.
boiled their brains.
Yeah, so that he did that. He drilled holes into their head and boiled the brains. They never survived to the point that the people in this film did. None of them survived.
Why did he do that?
To see if he could lobotomize them.
But isn't lobotomizing not? Is that what lobotomizing is? Do they pour? Is that what it is?
Well, the idea is to not kill them, but to make them so
Placid. But is that how they do it? They pour hot water in your brain.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's how they work it out.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I've just never thought about how you lobotomize. I thought they.
Well,
just,
that's not
I
how
thought they.
not how people do it. That's how serial killers do it. That's not how the medical professionals
Oh, okay,
do
cool.
it. Yeah.
So they don't just.
Yeah, I think
they don't get a girl from one side of the room holding out a drill
No.
and running at them.
No, I mean that would be great. That would be, but yeah, still.
And that's it. We cut
So-
back to Cop Dad.
Yeah.
So here's where everything comes together a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
We cut to Cop Dad, heartbreak high. She is on her bed crying now. And I didn't quite hear what she said. I wrote in my notes, why can't you find him?
Yep. It's exactly what she says.
What she says, why can't you find him? We get a shot of a boy, a photo frame, and it is one of the boys from one of the scrapbooks.
Yep. So Cop Dad is laying in bed and the mum, she's not even facing him. She's like, is she all right? And he's like, yeah, she'll be right. And he's looking at a picture of their son.
Yeah. So we realise that now Heartbreak High is acting up because her brother was taken and she can't handle it, and that's why the way she is. And this is also... and that means that Brent just killed her brother.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I have a feeling that he was the one that escaped. I have a feeling that he's the one that escaped, that Brent almost hit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Yeah, right. So we're like, okay, this is kind of...
It's all...
Time.
Because, you spend the whole film being like, why do we keep cutting back to... These people are not relevant to this film.
No, but Weeds' character is not relevant. That whole thing, how long that went for, we didn't eat... You know what? We could have just had her coming home drunk. Like, and that scene. That whole prom thing was totally unnecessary. It is filler.
Yeah.
It is just to make the film... Because Weeds' character now is not in the film.
No. Because, so we could get the sense that all she's doing is drinking, doing drugs and partying to try and forget.
I thought Weeds was seriously going to, like, find something out to give him a lead to get to the place.
Well, this isn't because it's not designed to be like a...
Are they trying to go for realism?
I
That
think
not every story leads to...
No.
But I'm just like... But if you rewatch this film, you just know all these scenes are pointless.
Mm-hmm. Essentially.
Anyway, we cut to Lola.
She is smothering Bright Eyes with a pillow.
She kills her. I don't think it's her mum. I think it's her dad's girlfriend.
No, it's her mum.
It's her mum?
Because as she dies, she just says, good night, mummy. Yep.
So she kills her mum because she's jealous of her mum, her dad liking, like...
That's weird.
Lobotomized corpse mum.
It's weird.
Which is very they're trying to make the old man in the wheelchair and Texas Chainsaw like the inanimate person that's just there.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is always a great... That was in something else recently. What was it that we watched? It's in Resident Evil 7, there's one.
Oh, yeah.
She's in it the whole way.
Yep. We get a shot of Brent. He's sitting down.
Hanging out in the hole.
He's just clicking his torch. He's
He's going mad. He's going crazy.
Yeah.
Is that another point where I'm just like, yeah,
it's like
now you've murdered a whole bunch of people, you fucked up, you killed... So he's killed 4 people now.
Yep.
He's killed more people than they've killed.
Yeah.
Because they didn't kill him.
He's like, look, once again, I'm better than you, Lola. Fuck you. We get cut to Holly. She's laying on her bed and she starts to flash back to Brent telling her that Lola Stone asked him to the dance, and she immediately gets up and calls Cop Dad.
Yeah, which makes sense because she would have just been going over and over and over what's
like,
going on.
What is happening.
And then she would. It's not that she thinks that they're kidnapped, but like that was the last person.
Yeah. Because
Although, why didn't they go...
If there's anything you can think of, give me a call.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we forgot to mention that bit. Yeah. So she thought of that. That's the only thing she can think of. So, but then, like, it's rare because, like, she calls Cop Dad.
Yep.
And then the next shot is a hard cut of Cop Dad just speeding down the road in his cop car, presumably heading to Lola's house. Because maybe he knows that family and maybe he knows they're kind of weird.
Well, if it's a small town, everyone would kind of know everyone. And then... Because the dad, he just looks like a fucking weirdo.
Yeah, maybe he's already got suspicions. But that's enough for Cop Dad. He's like, fuck yeah.
He's fine.
Wheel. And no, he doesn't do that.
Yep. He rocks up to the house. He gets out. He peeps through the window and it's empty at this point. Like, Lola is nowhere to be seen.
But he does see
he sees all of the fucking blood all over the floor.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, fuck, shit.
He grabs his gun, smashes the glass on the door.
Opens it up,
and he enters with caution.
Yeah.
He doesn't call for backup,
and now
which is what you do.
Brent is now in the hole. He hears, like, the door smash. He hears that someone's coming into the house, and he starts yelling at the top of his lungs for help, me, or whatever he's yelling. He's not yelling, help me.
But it's a no-go because he can't scream.
Yeah, he's pig squealing. Unfortunately, we see Cop Dad, and we can't hear him. But
Brent's smart about it, and he starts throwing shit at the door. So all of the stuff that Lola's thrown in, he's hurling it up to the door.
Continuing it. So and then Cop Dad is like,
What is that sound?
What is that sound?
And he opens up the doors.
He finds it. Yeah, he finds the trap doors. He opens them up. He sees in there. He says, looks down. He sees fucking. Oh fuck! There's Brent. There's Brent and pile of corpses
down there. And as we see him looking down at Brent, we see Lola coming up from behind him, and he turns. So Brent sort of actions
fucking behind you, cunt.
Yeah, and he turns around, and she fucking cleavers him in the face.
Cop Dad, and I knew this was going to happen.
Yeah.
You know when it's not near the end of the film, but someone comes in, you know that they're just going to be...
They're fodder.
It's just a fucking red herring. It's just that, like, they're dangling the carrot of, like... in front of me, like, and the dad gets cleaved in the head. He turns around, he donks into the side. Like, this is a fucking hard body, clonks down into the side of the door, and then falls down.
Yeah.
Into what is it called? The
pit. The pit. That's what I call it.
Anyhow, I really like this bit.
Yeah.
Brett instantly grabs the gun and fires it up at Lola, going over her shoulder, hitting the mirror ball, and I'm like, well, now the party's ruined.
Yeah, well, they've exploded the mirror ball.
The party is officially over.
But
he unloads the whole round at Lola.
Round. She jumped out the way on the first round. He should have stopped shooting.
But just the fact that he got that gun and shot at her and she had to get out of the way would have massively hurt her ego.
Yeah.
That she had to, like, because of how sadistic she is, that she had to cower away from him. That would have fucked her.
Oh, yeah.
Which is how's me, like, theorizing how she thinks. This is how good these characters are.
Well, that's exactly right. Like, the fact that you sit there and you can think about it a little bit more and then a little bit more, you go deep on it. It's
Party's
great.
over.
She finds his razor on the ground in the blood, and she has a knife in her hand, and she walks up to the pit opening. She looks down.
He's got no money. Bullets left. He's got no money either, probably.
And she says, I'm going to your house now. I'm going to stab your mummy in the neck just like you did to my daddy. And she puts the razor blade necklace around, and she's like, and then I'm going to stab Holly in the heart just like you did to me.
And you're like, oh, shit.
And she just fucks off.
So now poor old Brent's left in the hole knowing that she's going to go off. But then I was like, well, she doesn't have her dad with her, so she can't be that dangerous.
Well, because imagine how dangerous she is without her dad, because I'm guessing, like, her dad has done this the whole... like timeline that she's been doing this. Her dad's been there to help her. Like, anytime something wasn't going her way, she would just complain to her dad and he'd step in. So I don't know if she actually could carry out anything like without him. Like, if he was gone in that moment and she got away, would she be able to continue doing this? Probably
not, no.
I doubt it.
Anyhow, we're going to show her Brent looking at a pile of bones going, looking at some corpses. He may be forming a plan.
He might be. I love a plan.
Plan is a brewing.
Yeah.
Anyway, we show, and now we get We get this nice wide shot. She's also of Lola walking. We can see the sun's coming up. So Australian outback, beautiful landscape shot. She's walking across like the frame. She's got her knife. She's got her scrapbook.
Yeah. I don't know why she has her scrapbook, but she's got her scrapbook.
She doesn't want to leave it behind in case she can't find it later.
Evidence.
I don't think she's planning to go back to her house.
Probably not.
Yeah, so
she might not be coming back.
Taking her scrapbook.
Yep.
And then we get a shot of her. She's walking along the road, towards the camera, and once again she's singing Casey Chambers.
Yeah, and she's doing it just. Oh my
she's
God,
disheveled and crazy, like, am I not pretty enough?
Yeah, she's got blood all over her pretty pink dress.
It's all coming out of her nose.
It's just she's bleeding.
She's basically got blood all over her. She's in a pink dress. She's got a scrapbook of murder, of kills. She's got her big fucking carving knife.
Yep, she's having a run. She's good. She notices that in the behind her, a car is on its way down, and she beelines off the road.
It's a fucking VW, and you know who drives a VW? Ollie.
Oh, mate, Ollie.
Ollie. She's driving down the road because she has decided. I can only assume that she decided that she's going to go check out Lola's house.
Yeah,
because the cop probably didn't say that he's going there.
No, but then that starts to cause a little bit of confusion because she's walking this way to. Is she going to Brent's house? Because that's where Lola's going, and she's coming from behind Lola. So Lola's house is that way, and she would have passed Lola's house.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Maybe she's going to Brent's house?
Yeah, she might be going somewhere. She might be going to the shop to get like a Snickers.
Cornetto.
Oh, Cornetto. Obviously. Maybe a killer python.
A 5-cent bag of lollies.
Curly Whirly, obviously.
Oh, chomps. Yep.
So she's going to the shop. She's on her way to get a Curly Whirly and a chomp. Well, I don't think they make chomps anymore.
They do. They do. Yeah.
Do you remember that ad for chomp? Like, biting on my chomp, chomp, another strawberry chew. Because it's strawberry one. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Holly's driving a V-fucking-W.
Yep. And
then she's driving along and suddenly, bang, a scrapbook hits her car.
It's a weapon. It is a mighty hefty weapon.
So, yeah, we see these pages going. I fully thought that, like, a page was going to land on her windscreen.
With Brent's face?
Yeah.
That would have been good.
Yeah, and I thought they mentioned it.
But, like, Holly stopped the car and she'd taken off her seatbelt. And
she's another scrapbook hit my car.
She's like, again?
Yeah.
She's turned off the car and I don't know why she's turned off her car. Like, that's dumb. And Lola opens the passenger door. And she has just got this crazy look in her eye.
And Holly's just like in the car, still
She's
just
like
looking at her. And just like, there's just a silent moment of both the girls just like.
Well, it's a very good close-up of both of their eyes. So you can see Lola's, her eyes are big. They're fucking crazy as hell. And, like, Holly's just kind of looking a little bit terrified. And then she spies Brent's necklace around
that Holly's wearing, yeah.
Yep.
Lola's wearing, sorry. Yeah,
she immediately jumps into the car and then they start to have...
fucking gone crazy, yelling, screaming.
An old-school cat fight. And there is a lot of...
With a knife.
There is a knife
There's a lot of, like, holding the wrist to stop the knife.
Yeah, there's a lot of hair pulling, a lot of squealing.
They wrestle out of the driver's...
This is good as well because Holly opens the driver's side door and she kind of falls out backwards.
I think it would have worked as well because VW's door handles were push down ones, so she would have just leant back into it and it might have actually just gone open.
And then she sort of falls out, rolls. Lola falls out front ways. Knife goes straight into the pavement, and this looks really good as well because Holly immediately sort of rolls back and it's not a kick to the face. She boots her.
Yeah, so Holly gets up and like boots Lola full pelt in the face and fucking like knocks the sense out of her.
But Lola like
she would have little like cartoon birds going around her head at this time, and it's just like.
But she immediately.
Every time Lola gets hurt, it's so satisfying.
Yeah, it really is. She immediately Taylor Swifts it and she just starts chasing Holly down the street.
Yeah. So that she kind of like gets up all right with the Tweety birds, shakes it off, and then starts. Holly's just fucking beelining it.
She's fast too because like you can sort of see like Lola chasing her.
And Lola doesn't chase people, I don't think, very often.
No, I don't think she's ever had to do anything in her life. So
she ain't on no track team.
She's like running and she's just like... she's how I look when I run. Just
like
awkward.
flopping wrists and shit. Napoleon Dynamite. Run with your arms down.
She's got the Naruto run going.
Oh, no.
At this point, Brent, he's made a
Cut to
leaning
Brent.
tower of ex-boyfriends.
And bones. He's
And
basically made
bones.
a pile of bodies. And
Yeah.
and we get to see him escape the hole.
He does.
Finally. I'm like,
He climbs to freedom, and we know that he's got some mad upper body strength.
he should have gotten out and then done the Iron Man yell. Like,
Just that like freeze
that
frame.
Nutrigrain yell. He didn't do that.
He
Or like the
didn't.
one in Do Party Massacre. He jumps and there's like freeze frame and a rainbow.
with all the like rainbows behind him. I would have liked that.
Yeah, he didn't do that.
He's fucking pissed.
Yeah, he's
so
like,
the next cut we get is a high-speed cop car doing 140 k's down the fucking street. Everything's whipping by him,
And it's Brett.
and he is mad.
He's like, so he's doing that. Oh, he's got his hands
He's got
on the
the
wheel.
10 and 2. He's white knuckling it. He's determined.
And he's like, he's like, his face is down. He's looking down over his brow. He's just like,
He's like, I better fucking be in the next Fast and the Furious film. I tell you what.
he's like, I better be going the right way because I got a fucking hole in my head. I don't even
That's
know where
right.
I am at this moment.
Yeah, we cut back to Lola. She's still chasing after Holly.
Down the road.
Yeah, so at this point, Brent comes over the hill.
He comes over a crest, which
Yeah.
are a lot of crests in Australian roads
Yes.
like this.
and he swerves and to
Because the Holly's right there.
to
And he's like,
Holly.
oh, fuck, a lady.
Oh my God, and he
he's
swerves.
you know what
It's
he's good at? He's good at swerving
He
people in the
is.
middle of the road.
It is. It happens a lot.
It nearly happens again. Like the whole point of him, like maybe that was like he's learned how to swerve around someone now and not crash.
Defensive
I
driving.
never actually put that two and two together,
Yeah.
whether that was actually relevant to the story.
So he misses Holly and he's just
He looks back
onto the road.
He kind of looks. He gets. He rights himself.
Yeah.
Looks back to see Holly, and at that point, of course, who was following
Split
Holly?
second, Lola. So he hits her full speed. Her face breaks the windshield, and he stops. Lola, we don't see Lola. She's obviously somewhere in a direction. And then Holly gets into the car and she immediately screams at the side of
The best
of
thing
him.
is because Lola just sees the cop car. I mean, Holly just sees the cop car
Yeah.
and she's in the street. She runs to the cop car, gets in the cop car, like, oh my God, help me. Looks, and it's this disheveled, chap-lipped, bloody version of her ex-boyfriend who she's looking of her boyfriend driving the car who's like wounded blood
Yeah.
and she's like, oh my God, like, which is a great reaction.
She immediately turns to him and says, you know what? You are not pretty enough, and gets out of the car.
Yeah. And then do they hug us or something?
Yeah,
happens?
they do. They you know, she gets in the car, she starts to cry and they hug, and then, you know, that's it. They're sort of embracing, they're happy, like it's all well and good.
And we hear this sound.
But we get this really cool fucking shot as well. This is a big long shot. So you can see that the cop car is at one end, and you sort of hear this sound, and it's this metallic sound. It kind of reminded me of Child's Play, where Chucky was in his little
His car,
scooter,
melted car.
and Lola she's clearly not got control of her legs anymore, but she is just dragging herself along the road towards
With
the
a
car.
knife. She has.
So all you see is this little pink dress enter the
side of the wide shot.
The shot. It just looks so good.
Yeah, one end of the shot's got the cop car.
And it's just her slowly making her way towards the car.
Like a fucking chopped in half a zombie. She has compound fracture alert.
Yes. First one of 2021.
First one. So her wrist is like completely like a breaching compound fracture coming out. Both her legs are just destroyed.
Yep.
Obviously, she's cut
Her
up all
face
over
is
her face.
fucked up. She's making so many animalistic growls and gurgles.
The only thing that works is one arm, and she's pulling herself along
Yeah.
with the carving knife along the fucking road.
Yeah.
Which I don't think she could have done. but
Also,
it's fine.
I'd like to so this is happening in the summer, and those roads would be hot. So
Oh,
she'd probably
but then
be burning.
it wasn't blaring hot. This
It
thing.
was first thing in the morning though, so
Yeah, it's true,
maybe
true.
it's not quite. The heat hasn't quite gotten to her yet.
And then you see so you got cut to Brett and Holly in the car, and they're kind of like, "What the fuck?" And
They can
kind of
hear the
look.
sounds,
They look
yeah.
around and see, and they just watch her for a while.
Yeah,
'Cause
they can just see her getting closer and closer. And then Brent just immediately
We see the car reverse lights come on the car.
yeah, chucks it into reverse, and we get this slow pan into Lola's face as she realizes that that's it. She's been got.
Yeah, it's this really long slow motion shot zooming into Lola's face, and we see her change from revenge to I've
Fuck.
lost.
Yeah.
And it's a very long shot, and it goes for age, and you're just waiting.
Yeah.
You're waiting. And then we just get a real quick shot, instant, like, of her like head hitting which I didn't like. I wanted her getting caught up.
Because he was going pretty fast, so you kind of would have wanted.
I wanted a
little
wide
bit more
shot
for
again,
her.
the same wide shot of him just running over a fucking actual a corpse.
Yeah.
Like showing it in the most brutal sense. Because it was just one of those shots where as soon as it hits, it cuts as well. So it's like,
yeah.
And I'm like,
so I
I
think
know.
for her, like, do you feel that? I mean, a lot of shit happened to her. She got fucked up royally. But do you feel that she had the death that she deserved, or do you think she needed a little bit more?
I think.
You needed something a little bit more satisfying?
Yeah, I didn't want her to get hurt anymore because hurting her didn't affect her. She
No.
didn't care.
She's done.
I needed her to know
That she lost.
Yeah, in a way that the way she thought. We needed her to see that Holly was one.
Yeah.
That Holly was the prettier girl.
That even though she fucked up Brent to, like, just beyond...
She did all that. And
literally beyond recognition.
Yeah, I wanted her to see that she did all that and it didn't work. It didn't sway him. They're still together. Like, I actually wanted her to survive.
Yeah.
I wrote that in my notes. I wanted to see her go to jail. I wanted to see her be in the courtroom and see that Brent and Holly were still together.
Yeah.
And then having to go to jail, and then her getting killed in jail.
Immediately. Sure.
Or just, you know what I mean? I always think that thing that I think baddies get out of it too easy. Like, death is like the easy way out for them.
Yeah.
So I wanted her to like suffer afterwards. Is that being sadistic of me? Yes,
Look, it is a little bit, but I think...
you dragged me through all this shit
You're
for
not
this
wrong.
film.
You're not wrong, though, because someone like her, that's it. She's dead. End of story.
It obviously showed that she didn't care about her own well-being. So
No.
killing her is not getting her back.
So making her suffer
The
would be
dad
putting her
dying.
in a... Yeah, well,
The dad dying was a pretty good comeback to her, but I still feel like putting her into a mental institution where she can't hurt anyone ever again.
And not just that, where she is not the focus of attention.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, look, let's not be too ragging on the hospital system, but she would have just been a patient in a room. Like, she wouldn't get the attention that she got with her dad.
Anyhow.
Anyway.
Cut to the shot of the drive home, which this sort of like, is she making Brent drive?
Yeah. Brent's still driving.
No, he wasn't. Because
Wasn't he?
when it gets out, because you're used to seeing American films, so when they stop, she gets out the side.
Yeah.
So Brent's obviously retired to the passenger seat after having, all that shit. We get a shot of the mum. Mm-hmm. We get this long shot
She's
of them
at the
driving
window.
home. Like, it's just like kind of like
Yeah,
really...
trees going past. It's very pretty.
Yeah, it's very kind of reminiscent kind of thing. Now, shot of the mum waiting still.
And of course, she's sitting there and she watches the cop car rock up. So it would have just all come back to her again, all that trauma of seeing that cop car rock up the first time to tell her that her son's been in an accident and your husband's dead.
Yeah, the mum runs outside and she sees... This is a bit weird. She sees Brent and Holly get out of the car. Brent looks like he's been dragged through a fucking, fallen into a fucking haymaking reaping machine. But she has no reaction. She doesn't go, oh my God.
She just
hugs him.
Like, take him to the fucking hospital. Like, he needs medical attention.
Yeah, and they all hug. They have a group hug. Big, beautiful family hug. Cut to credits. End.
Done.
All right, final thoughts. I mean, one of my final thoughts was that one about I don't think she, Mm-hmm. I wrote it in my thing. Why was the whole heartbreak and weed storyline in there? Was it just to juxtapose two bad nights?
Yeah. So
do you get what I mean?
I do.
Your bad prom night. Like, that's probably the worst prom night kind of you could ever kind of have. And he probably thought this is my worst night. But no, there is a worse night.
Mm-hmm. Brent's having it right now.
Yeah, and I thought maybe it's that, or was it just loose filmmaking?
I feel that it was more to show, so we get a sense of Brent going through his trauma and how it changed him as a person, but then we just think that Mia's this weird goth chick. It turns out that she's also the way she is because of what's happened to her. Her brother's gone missing.
Yeah, everyone has a story of why they are how they are.
Yeah.
People don't just choose. Oh, actually, no, there is a lot of kids who just choose to be broody goths, that wish something had happened to them.
Yeah, I mean, all kids go through that weird broody goth phase and whatnot. But yeah.
Even I did, I think.
Yeah, I think we all did.
I even wanted dreadlocks at one stage when Kurt Cobain was cool.
Well, that's fair. Yep.
Even though Kurt Cobain didn't have
No, he
dreadlocks?
didn't.
No, I thought he did.
He just never washed his hair.
The film was really well made. The filming was top notch. There were so many good shots, and the acting was stellar. Like stellar.
I think she was nominated. Robin McLeavy, who plays Lola, she was nominated for one of Fangoria's awards for like Best Actress.
She didn't go on to do anything else because she clearly can act.
She has done a few things,
Nothing.
but I don't think that she's being utilized the way she should. Like, I don't think she was, because she was in, she had a very small bit in like Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. I think that was maybe her trying to sort of get into the American film industry, but she just couldn't quite breach it because she's not an unattractive girl, but she's not got that, like, she's very cute.
This is the best role for her.
She doesn't have, that Australian Aussie girl like the Margot Robbie look.
She's basic bitch.
She is basic.
She's no what's that fucking tattooed rose girl?
Ugh.
What's her name?
Fucking Batwoman who got fired from Batwoman because she can't act. I can't remember her name.
Doesn't
Rose.
matter. Rose someone.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
Ruby Rose.
Ruby Rose. Oh, dumb name.
Disgusting.
So I wrote in my notes, I just don't like gore porn films.
That's fair.
I hate these days how they have to keep upping the sadisticness of it to out gore out the last one. Like, you got to go like, when does it stop? Like, this film, if it got any, I don't want to see anything worse than this film. I don't want to see people surviving holes in the head and fucking boils in the brain and stuff like that. I need my horrors. I don't like horrors that are set in reality. I've always said I don't like Wolf Creek. I don't like Hostel. I don't like any of that stuff. I need fantasy. I need the fantasy element to enjoy a film. I want my escapism. I want a monster. I want a ghost.
Yep.
You want
a sense of fantasy to it. So it's got not like fantasy, but it's got to be just a little bit like.
Yeah, I realise that there are horrible people in the world in real life. I don't need to be reminded of it constantly.
Yeah. No,
I want my fun. I want my big old monsters. I want my critters and my munchies and my gremlins.
That is fair. Look, I feel that this film can be very confronting, and I do want to just say that if anyone we know is struggling, anyone you know or anyone or you yourself are struggling with depression, to please reach out to someone. But yeah, as far as like, Robin McLeavy's performance is fucking insane, and I like the fact that this is a film that switches the roles. So it's not a guy doing this to some poor woman. It is a girl and potentially her father doing this to people in a small town. So, it is something that, again, in a small town, very similar to Wolf Creek, it could be happening. I
did enjoy the Australianness of it. How many times do we have to make an Australian horror film which just involves psychopathic people?
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, mate.
Well, it's because Australia is so vast, and even a small country town could potentially have something like that happening in it.
We've got that bad rap that,
Snowtown.
Dingo got my baby. Oh, yeah, Snowtown. Martin Bryant.
Yep.
No, hang on. He was a serial killer. He was just a killer. He was just crazy.
I think that the cinematography is absolutely amazing. I feel that for Sean Byrne's first screenplay, this is great. I think this is a very big step in a career. And like I say, he went on to do Devil's Candy, which was a really good film as well. So everyone should check that out. And the soundtrack is amazing
except if you're Casey Chambers and you're like, Jesus Christ, are these my fans?
Yeah. What did you give this?
I gave it my new rating as a C-, which is the craft is stellar, but I hated the content.
That is fair. Yeah, it is hard to watch, especially if you're not in the right frame of mind as well. So if you're having a bit of a rough day and then you have to watch this, boo.
Don't.
I gave this one a U for underrated. I feel that this is even if you're looking at this film as a form of filmmaking, it's really good to see.
Well, no one I talked to about had ever heard of this film. So it is definitely underrated because it was like really well made. It might have come out at a wrong time. Maybe there was another big horror film like similar that came out around the same time.
Yeah. It did really well in America. But also it didn't have a huge theatrical release here. It did South by Southwest and a few of the film festivals. But it never... Like, I remember seeing it at the cinema. But it was like... The only screenings you had was at Palace Nova at like 10 a.m.
Oh.
On a Tuesday. So it didn't have that, like, it wasn't at your event cinemas. It wasn't just screening normally. It was like a small indie film kind of deal.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That was The Loved Ones. I hope everyone checks it out because it's a good watch.
It is. And next week, we're going to watch John Carpenter's The Thing.
Ah, I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Knew it was
well,
coming.
We needed it, we had all those, like, funny ones and that. And then you can't get... this one is, there's nowhere near this is set in reality. So I wanted that. So watch The Thing, the original Thing, not the original like carrot one.
No, we're watching John Carpenter's
The Thing, yeah,
yes.
From whatever year it was.
Yep, 1980 something.
I'm going to say 2. I don't know, actually.
Anyway. So, guys, thank you. You've been listening to TerrorVision Horror Podcast with Dan and Jennifer. We are available on all major podcasting services and also on the YouTubes. But no matter where you choose to consume us, please make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment or a review, and share with all your friends. You can interact with us on both Facebook and Instagram at TerrorVision Pod, which will keep you up to date on upcoming episodes, trivia, and of course memes that are probably 3 years old by now. We also have an email, terrorvisionpod@gmail.com. And our opening and closing music is by Voidswell. Is Voidswell by Sister Wife. And before we sign off, I do want to just say, if you're heading to the Adelaide Comic and Toy Fair this coming Monday, the 26th of April, you can find both of us selling our wares. Dan at the Greenlight Comics booth and myself at Trailer Trash Review. Stop by and say hi.
You should change Trailer Trash Review to TerrorVision.
I could.
And start selling stuff through there. Which
I could.
Trailer Trash Review, for people who don't know, is like you sell a whole bunch of horror merch and stuff.
I do, very badly, because I don't have a lot of time to invest into it.
You got some good stuff coming up. I saw you had a Necronomicon replica.
I have a Necronomicon replica.
2.
I have a Michael Myers replica mask.
That's pretty good. You had another replica thing, which I was like, ooh, you got a Hellraiser box?
Yeah, I've
puzzle
got
box?
Lament Configuration.
Yeah.
I've got 2 of those to sell. Because I forgot how expensive they were, and I bought 2.
Well, maybe I should buy one off you, because I want one.
Yeah. Puzzles. There's heaps of stuff. I've got heaps of stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And I'll be there with the Greenlight store, so if you want to buy a comic, yeah, cool. And remember, until next week, may all your dreams
be nightmares.